Alright, welcome back to round 6 of the ASEAN Youth and Seniors Chess Championship. Yeah, don't forget the old guys, I almost did. So, let's go ahead and jump into the games. And yeah, let's start with the kids, the ladies. As they say, ladies first, right? So, let's start with the top board of the. Oops, that's not the right one. Top board of the ladies section. And it seems that we have what's gonna be a quick draw. Yeah, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. Seems like it's just a normal Italian, and then everything gets swapped off. Yeah, I'm not sure whether it was prearranged or whether the players just didn't want to fight today. Yeah, either way, I can't really blame them. It's a long tournament, so there is of course benefit to make some quick draws, especially if you're playing a friend, someone from same country. There is some benefit to doing this. So I think this game will end in some sort of quick draw. Right, let's move on to the next game. We have I believe are half a point behind the leaders, so they want to fight obviously, and we have a knight off. What else? The most fighting opening, isn't it? B5 and G5. I guess this is all steel theory. And white occupies the d5 square. I reckon probably black will take on d5 because of course he has to react to this. And after ed5, probably bishop f5, and we'll see. There have been some games here, different moves have been played, and yeah, knight a5 is the main move, trying to go into c6, and yeah, there have been different moves tried here. f6 is one, queen d7 is another, but we'll see what black ends up going for. Yeah, so far all the games still very much in the opening stage, so not very much to see at the moment. We have a Dutch Slav, that's what they call it, right? The Dutch setup, which comes from the Slav. And okay, White's played a bit of an interesting setup. She's played e3 and then Black plays f5, so this is the point of Black's play. But okay, even though the bishop is blocked, it's not that big of a deal. f3 is a bit weird though. Normally, I believe they just play bishop d3, knight f3, and castle, and later on the bishop will come out to b2. And then we have some typical plans where the knight could come to f4, maybe back to d3, and then to e5. Maybe after the bishop on d3 moves. So we have some typical plans like this, but f3 is a bit, yeah, it's a bit weird. Bishop e7, and now castles. Yeah, so I guess white is trying to get e4 in, so she have to play knight e2, obviously. I mean, this is interesting. Maybe it's not so easy for black to stop e4 after all, because, next move is going to be castles followed by e4, and black will probably have to strike in the center with c5 to avoid that at some point. So let's see how it goes. Maybe, I don't know, a logical move to me seems b6, castles, and a move like c5 here. So now it's going to be a bit harder for white to play e4. But okay, there are different ways to play. White can take on d5, and knight takes d5, for instance. And, enter a position like this, which I think is quite interesting for both sides. Now white can just probably try to develop his bishop this way, and that will be a very interesting play. Okay, but we'll come back to this. Now let's go to the grandmasters, from the young kids to the old guys. And we have another unusual line. I feel that's the thing about these older guys. They like to play some really unusual and quite interesting lines, to be honest. And yeah, knight f3, knight f6, g3, and black hits in the center with d5. Yeah, obviously Tu Huangtong has made a couple of quick draws, but here he seems to be trying to play for a win. Bishop g2, knight takes c3, and b takes c3. This is almost like it's almost like one of those reversed King's Indian type structures. Really King's Indian, more like a perk, to be honest. Bishop c5, and white hits d5 pawn. We'll see how black defends it. Rook e8 seems like a logical move. Yeah, and then there should be many ways to play. Maybe white can even hit with d4. And after ed4, it takes on e8, and c takes d4. Which leads to maybe a position like this, where white can play c4, and maybe go for some normal development. Yeah, looks like an interesting position. And black is already thinking, so this is probably a good thing for white. Yeah, because obviously in these type of lives, you're not looking for advantage. You're looking for a position where you know the plan's a little bit better than your opponent, and so you can start to outplay them from there. And in that sense, I think white's strategy has been pretty decent. Okay, so rook e8 was not played because he didn't want to run into d4. So instead, he played queen f6. So it makes a lot of sense, stopping d4. Right, so what now? White probably should play a move like d3, I guess. Because how else is he going to develop his stuff? And then probably bring the bishop to e3, for instance. I guess bishop g4 is a logical move. We can hit him with h3. And then maybe something like bishop e3 or rook b1 first. I don't know which is better. And yeah, then we can do a lot of things. We can play bishop e3 again. We can try to bring the bishop to this diagonal as well, somewhere here. I'm not so sure. It's a position where there's a lots of options for both sides, and I think this is what White has been going for. Okay, let's look at the Blitz legend, Joey Antonio. See what's happening. Bullet legend, actually. In my time, he didn't play Blitz. Blitz was too slow for him. He only played 1-minute games, and he was very good at this. Okay, so we have a very traditional line of the Nimzo. I think that's the thing about these old guys here, and it's kind of refreshing because there are these really old lines in chess that have gone out of fashion for one reason or another. Maybe it's just bad, or maybe just a bit unfashionable nowadays. But this is one of them where black plays knight a6. Yeah, and the idea is that black is going to give up his bishop to take on c5 and try to play for lead in development. Now, objectively, I think this is not very good. I don't think this is the right way because white can play just b4 and put the queen on d4 as he has played in the game. And I think this is absolutely right because now it's not so easy for black to create counterplay. Yeah. Because, for instance, if d5, we can just, I believe, take on d5, and I don't really see what black has. Because every time black goes into an endgame, it's going to be very comfortable for white, yeah? So let's say an endgame with two bishops like this. This is going to be very nice for white because it's just going to be two bishops, and white can just get his pieces out, play knight f3, e3, and eventually it's going to be some pressure on black. So, yeah. Yep. Okay, so let's move on. See if there's anything left. Okay, so that's it for the senior section apparently. So let's move on to the other sections. We have the under 16 boys. On board one we have a close Sicilian. Yeah, bishop g7, bishop e3. Yeah, so I understand this is the more accurate move order. Yeah, because normally what they do is if e6, they'll play a move like queen d2, which stops this knight e7 move, at least somewhat hinders it because of this move bishop h6. Yeah, so this is something that I've fallen for, definitely. And after this, white can play h4 and start pushing the h-pawn. And this is actually very dangerous for black. And I have lost a couple of games like this when I've been careless. But the point is that after queen d2, you don't play knight e7, you play rook b8, and you start to push these queenside pawns. And you're basically delaying the move knight e7, and every time knight e2 is played, you play knight d4. That's usually the way they play this type of situation. But rook b8 was played. It's also a possibility. Queen d2, b5. And black's idea is very straightforward. He just pushes. Maybe he plays knight d4. Okay. I'm not sure about this move order, but it seems alright to me. c3, and we'll probably end up transposing to, yeah, one of the... it probably ends up transposing to the other line that I just showed. Because now, h5? h5 is interesting. Well, that's a bit weird, because I don't really think black's in a position to hit with h4, so I'm not sure what black is doing here. I guess black's trying to be a bit wacky to try to play for a win. This is something you'll see from a lot of these kids. Very, very optimistic play. Overly optimistic play at times. And I think this might be one of those really optimistic ones. But, okay, rook e1. Maybe it doesn't really ruin black's position or anything. It's just that the h5 pawn is a little bit out of place. Yeah, I'm not sure about rook e1 either. Maybe it would have make sense to try to push f4, but then okay, knight e7 will come, and okay, it's not so easy. So okay, black has taken and knight e7, and black will just castle, and later on, black can decide maybe he can start to bring his queen on the queen side, and maybe he can hit in the center with d5. So we'll see. Black has a lot of different options in this line. Don't really mind his position. I mean, the pawn on h5 is a bit weird, but other than that, looks quite healthy. Okay, let's move on to the next game. We have a French, it appears. Indeed, we have a French. And now e5 is the big main line, and knight ce2. This is, of course, the new trend, thanks to Gukesh. Yeah, who played this in the World Championship match. This line has been known, obviously, for quite a while, but you know, it really took off after that World Championship match, and a lot of players have started to play this with white. Because of course the old main line is that after knight d7 you would play f4 and c5 you play knight f3 and then you play bishop e3 with very normal play. But instead white brings his knight back to e2, c5 and black plays his knight to c6. Knight f3. This is interesting because normally in these type of lines white's going to play f4 to further bolster the center pawn on e5 and they play knight f3 after that. But knight f3 was played instantly without that, and yeah, it's interesting. It seems to be preparation, so I guess this is quite playable. And rook a2, it's it's a very strange move, very strange. I don't really understand this, but I'm sure there's a point. Knight takes d4, c takes d4 and b4. Okay, queen b6. Maybe there's some very nice point because I think maybe if the pawn. So I was thinking why not to make a move like say bishop e2, but maybe now lines like this would, you know, start to make a lot of sense. Yeah, knight d4, cd4, you know, and if b4 there might be this, so we won't be able to take because of this check, and it's hit the rook. So if bishop d2, you can take this guy. That seems to be the reason why. Yeah. So I think because of that, why I had to play rook a2. Yeah, so that in this line after knight d4, cd4, b4, queen c7 is not an issue because we can take with the c pawn, and if queen c3 check, we can just block with the rook. Yeah, because the rook's no longer hanging now, so it's a big deal. And very soon you'll kick the white queen away, something like bishop b2, and we'll be doing very well. Okay, so anyway, knight d4 was played, b4 and queen b6 is played, and white takes back on d4. It seems to me that white has got what he wants in general, but okay, rook d8, like still quite solid. Yeah, I'm not sure about rook d8 because as I understand in a lot of these lines, black is hitting the center with f6, and judging by the openings database, this appears to be the main move. He takes f6 and, you know, knight can take back on f6, bishop d3, and now the bishop can come to d6, you know, and maybe later on there will be moves like knight e4, and black will have some very decent counterplay. But okay, rook d8 seems a bit weird. It's very solid. I guess black just wants to keep solid and play something slow like knight f8, maybe bring the bishop to b5. But I feel that if black were to go for this, it's quite passive and white should have very decent play. Okay, so let's move on, and we have Shenri Hung, it's Malaysian player on board 3. And what do we have? We have knight f3. I mean, this guy has a lot of stuff against the Caro-Kann. Once against me, he played this line, the main line, and recently he played the, you know, the fantasy variation, and now he's gone for this knight c3, knight f3. So he's got a lot of lines against this, but the question is, does he know them well? h3, bishop f3, queen f3. Let's see. e6 has been played. This is definitely okay, and g3. Yeah, it's very solid. Basically, black has lost the 2 bishops, so it's got 2 bishops, but it's not something that's, you know, too dramatic. And here we have a weird move. White takes on d5, which I don't understand, because I feel like you should, like, once white takes on d5 and, you know, the same move like c takes d5, then the bishop is going to be quite blocked by this pawn, right? And it'll be hard to play c4. So I don't really get this. Normally, I think white just keeps attention. He goes bishop g2, castles. And I don't know, maybe he didn't like d4, but this is something that you have to allow. And knight e2, like, you have to be happy with these type positions if you're gonna play this line. So ed5 feels strange to me. But anyway, e5 doesn't feel right either. Bishop g2, g6. I mean, black is trying to play symmetrical and hold, but I just don't see the point because now it seems like black's under some pressure. Yeah, like he can't castle because of queen e7, so yeah, we can't castle because there would be this, and unfortunately you can't take on e1 with an intermediate move because, oops, there's a pin here. So it's impossible to castle. So what? So black actually has to unpin here. Question is how. So most natural move seems to be bishop f6. Yeah, maybe it's not so bad. Black is going to castle next move. Yeah, not so sure what white can do here. Hmm. It's possible to play d4, but then castles. Yeah, and then rook will come to e8. And I think black will have a very decent position. So we'll see. I don't know what you can try. I think black should be actually okay here. You know what? I take that back about, about black, about e5 being not that good. Because it seems like a very decent move as well. Because he's going to castle. And then once he castles, he's going to have a decent game. Now, of course, white has the two bishops. But they're not particularly flattering at the moment. Especially this bishop on g2. So, I guess we'll see if white can make anything of it. Because now it doesn't seem like white as much. Okay, so let's move on. We have Khairil Edrin Rumi Arjuna Malik, son of apparently a famous Malay rapper. Yeah, fun fact. Yeah, he's a son of a famous Malay rapper called I believe Malik. So I wouldn't know much about this. Obviously, I don't listen to rap, but you know it's a fun fact. One of my Malay friends actually told me about this. One asked me, legend Malaysian chess, and he told me about this, which I think is a fun fact, yeah, that I would like to share with you guys. Okay, so not super impressed by this opening choice, yeah, you know, not super impressed, if you want to, follow in the rap roots, then it's got to be, some big main line like this, no? I don't know, there are different ways to play here. There could be a6 as well, knight f6, knight db5 is obviously the big main line, and yeah, probably he should be going for something like this, but okay, c3, it's a bit weird, and I feel it's a bit not very testing, is it? But okay, d5, it's not sure about this, yeah? Yeah. Now I could play e5, but maybe he doesn't want to go into some sort of, you know, what's this, a French style structure. But probably this is white's best chance and at an advantage because e takes d5 does not feel very ambitious. b6 and d4, bishop b7, and I don't know. White is just playing dc5, and I don't know. My take is that white is just trying to play for a draw. That feels like what's going on here. But I feel like, if you want to do well in tournaments, then, when you're playing someone who's just a little bit more higher rated than you, it's not a big difference. It's not like he's playing at 2300 or something. Then, you should be a bit, more proactive with the white pieces. With black, you can play more solid, but with white, you should be, trying to play for advantage. Yeah. Anyway, e3, c5. Anyway, speak of that, I actually like that position for black already. Okay, speak of a little bit passive. I'm not sure about what white has done here. So it's under these classic lines, ed4. Many moves here. You could play g6, you could play e6. Many ways to play. Knight c6 was played, knight c3, and g6. So I'm not sure about combining these two moves together because I feel like here you would have to think about obviously some lines like this. But I guess white has messed up the move order a little bit because yeah, wait, actually this is the line. Knight c3 and bishop c4, and this is the key intermediate move that you want to insert because now yeah, we want to take on f7, so black has no time to go back. Well, so he has two moves. You can play e6 and after b takes c3. It's one of these positions where you can play on. You can play bishop a3, and there is of course a forced draw for white. But it's not necessary to go for that. You can even take on f8. Yeah, by the way, if white is okay with a draw, you can just go back to c1 and, it's some sort of repetition like this. But bishop f8 is also possible, and then you can try to play this position. The different ways to play. Yeah, castles, for instance, king will go to g7, and, just a normal position with, maybe something like bishop e2. Just a normal position with hanging pawns. No problems for either side. But okay, white has played What did he play? Did he take on d5? Yeah, he took on d5, and then he played bishop c4. I think he may have messed things up, because, of course, the idea is if knight c3, then he wants to go queen b3 and transpose back to this line. The issue is that that's not going to happen. Yeah, black probably will go knight b6, which is what he did. And this is correct, absolutely. And now the bishop goes back to b3. And now black gets bishop g7, which is quite, pleasant for him. h3 and knight a5. This is good, hitting that bishop on b3. So of course, if we could take that bishop on b3, we would be just better as black. So white can't allow this. He brings his bishop back. Now we hit the bishop on e3, and the bishop goes back to c1. So it seems that white's going a little bit passive here, and it seems a bit quite pleasant for black. Yeah, but okay, it's not so simple. Yeah, I guess white will. Yeah, but maybe it's quite nice for black after all, because I mean, the way for white to kick this knight is usually with b3, but then he's gonna weaken some stuff along the c file, right? So maybe black can just make a developing move like bishop e6, like white will castle, and then maybe just rook c8. And it'll be hard for white to kick this knight, because every time white plays b3, there's going to be some really loose stuff on the c file, which is not going to bode well for him. So, bishop c1, bishop e6, and rook c8. And I think I prefer black. Okay, let's look at board 6. We have Ian Leong. I guess these are all P9 players, because I'm not very familiar with them. But okay, we have d4, we have the 4-knight Scotch, which is known for its high drawish tendencies. I think, I mean, at the master level, I believe 90% of games in this line are ending in draws. Bishop d3, this is a classic line, e d5. By the way, there's also a line with castles here, which is quite interesting, with the idea that if dc6, I believe you got bishop g4, and there are some very interesting lines here. But okay, cd5 is the main move, and castles h3 and c6. Okay, f3, e6, and white is thinking. I'm not sure what white's gonna go for. I mean, normally the line they go for is they go bishop g5, black drops the bishop back to d6. Yeah, I know there are a lot of different ways for white to play. Yeah, for instance, knight e2, and after a move like h6, you would just take on f6. And you can claim that, okay, you have a little bit of a better pawn structure after a move like knight g3. But the fact is, with the two bishops, it's probably going to end in some sort of draw. Yeah, for instance, one way that this could happen is you could play knight f5, black could take this bishop, and, it would end up in some sort of a drawn endgame, yeah? Something like this. You play rook e5, bring the rook to e8, and all the games here have ended in draws, which is no surprise. Okay, knight e2 is played. This is, I believe, a little bit more ambitious, because, of course, we are avoiding this bishop g5, which means black has the opportunity to play h6. And I guess the knight will probably reroute itself, say, to d4, bishop d7, and then we'll see. Maybe he can go to f5. I don't know, maybe he can play c3 first, or even hit the center with c4. There are a lot of different ways for white to play here. So I guess white is deciding to play for a win this line, which is an interesting choice. It would not be my choice to play for a win in such a line, but I mean, you do you, right? Okay, let's look at the big boys. This is the tournament where if you win, you become an international master. Yeah, this is the under 20 big boys, under 20 and 18 together. So we have Fabian Glenn Mariano against Nguyen Quoc Hee, and I know I'm mispronouncing these names, especially the Vietnamese ones. I can't help myself, sorry about that. C5 is played, and now A3. Interesting. So we are going into a same-ish where C5 has been played, which is, of course, a very, very, very old line. The strategy in this line, as you'll see, is that black will try to hit this pawn on C4. Because these pawns, especially this c4 pawn, is going to be quite hard to defend. So black's going to play bishop a6, knight a5, and rook c8, and try to hit this pawn. White, on the other hand, is trying to push his king-size pawns as quickly as possible. Sorry, I am bad at drawing arrows. He's trying to push his king-side pawns as quickly as possible and get his attack going. Yeah, so e4 is played. And now knight e8 is the important move, with the idea that if white were to play a move like f4, then, you can meet it in a move like f5, for instance, in the future. I mean, white's not going to play f4 now. So knight e8 is played, d takes c5, and b takes c5. So f4, bishop a6, knight f3, and we see this move f5. It's a typical way of stopping the advance of the kingside pawns. Now we'll see what's gonna happen here. I mean, there are a lot of logical moves. You could push to e5, but I'm not so sure about that. You could take on f5, which looks quite logical, and takes and raises up the castles. It looks like a position with a lot of interesting play. I mean, white's got the two bishops, and he'll probably end up playing something like bishop e3, and maybe even trying to reroute his bishop this way. Whereas black will play d6 in response to that, and he'll have a very solid center, and chances to try to target his c4 pawn in the future, as we mentioned. With like knight a5, for instance. And of course, maybe another thing could be to try to use this e4 square, which is of course no longer protected by any pawns. So definitely an interesting fight, and we'll see how this goes on. So let's look at Kavin's game, and there have been huge developments in this game. The knight f3, d5, g3, and Arca has been playing these knight f3, g3 lines a lot recently, and he's had huge success with them. It's got him to, international master, which is huge. But okay, Calvin is not going to back down against such a player. He plays d4. Calvin is very, very principled. That's one thing. And b4 after some thought. So this is not preparation, I guess. It's some sort of inspiration rather than preparation. a3. And so we have we have one of these bankos to g6, which is actually a pretty decent version of the banko, to be honest. Knight c6, knight bd2. Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, white's trying his best to play for a win, so that's the reason why. Bishop c5. So this is a very interesting thing. Yeah, I'm not sure about rook b8 here. I mean, there are different ways for black to play. You could play something like rook e8, trying for e5, for instance. That looks logical. You could try something like a5, maybe, to get some sort of knight b4 in some lines. Or no, maybe not. Obviously not now, because it's pinned. But, okay, maybe something like, maybe you can try to get it in the future. But okay, rook b8 seems a bit weird. And now bishop c5. And it turns out that this is a really strong move, because if you play v6, and I think this is what Kevin missed, that there actually is this move, knight f takes d4. And obviously if you take here, this will be a disaster, because I would take your rook. So you have to take my knight, and I'll take back with a bishop. And as far as I can see, this is looking quite good for white, yeah? So, I mean, he's got that central pawn, and that's very nice. So what black has done instead is he's played knight d7. So at least after white takes, he can grab the two bishops. But of course, I think this is quite comfortable for white already. He's got what he wants in the banko. It's almost like a dream banko, where he has pressure on the queen side while not even having lost a pawn. So yeah, this is definitely going to be some suffering for Kevin, but that's part of life. Sometimes you mess things up and you have to suffer. Well, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe black can try e5, for instance. But then we can play something like queen c2. Maybe try to bring the rook to a1 or b1. I'm not super sure where. But somewhere on the queen side. And white is activating very quickly indeed. So, yeah, I think black's in some trouble. And we'll see whether he's able to hold on. But of course, Kevin is very resourceful. So, yeah, I'm hoping he'll be able to hold on for, for the sake of all Malaysians. Yeah, he's... Okay, anyway, let's move on to the next game. We have Cahaya Satria Duta, Indonesian International Master. We have a lot of guys whose titles have not been approved, but are almost certainly going to be approved. Yeah, Cahaya is one of them. Yep. So, yep. Do you want to join us? No? No, because I'm, of course, looking for people to join me if you want to. Yeah.
Where's the goal?
Yeah. Because if anyone wants to join, obviously they are very much welcome to do so. Because the more heads, 3 heads or 2 heads are better than one, no? So let's look at this. We have this d3 Spanish, knight e2. Knight e2 is interesting. He's going for some sort of c3 d4. It's interesting line. It's an interesting line. I'm not sure. Black takes some v3. And okay, we have one of these positions that I feel that black must be doing well, because he has the 2 bishops, and he will probably be able to orchestrate some sort of d5 at some point, maybe starting with bishop b7 and then later d5. Yeah, but okay, white is still very solid, so don't think it's something too special for white. I would take black, but not by too much. Okay, let's move on. And whoa, do we have an interesting line? We have a Nimzo, Queen C2 castles, A3. Yup, very famous line. And black plays D5, bishop D5, still very famous line. D takes C5 and D4. After this is all theory, knight D7. Yeah, these things are well booked up. E3, and black hits with H6. Yeah, this is all theory apparently. E5, knight E2, because bishop G4 was a big threat, so this was the only move. Yeah, and we'll see. Black is thinking already. Both players are starting to think. I think obviously that they have this position in their preparation, but they probably weren't expecting the other to play it. So, they're just trying to figure it out over the board at this point. So what's the move? I guess bishop G4 looks very logical. Queen G3, and now what? Does knight E4 work? Queen takes G4, knight takes F3. Queen F3. Okay. So if I take on H1, it probably gets trapped. Yeah, maybe even just something like G3 or something, and like might get trapped. So that doesn't feel quite right. Uh, Queen F3 then. Maybe knight takes D1. So if it take, maybe I can play D takes E3, and maybe start to chase your king like this. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of an interesting idea. We can go to B3. Yeah, I can give a check, but he rounds back to A2, so I'm not sure. You can play also Rook AD8. I don't know. It's quite a complicated position. So I think it's hard to go for a line like this without like crap. So yeah, I guess it's interesting. We'll see what happens. Bishop G4 is played. Queen G3 will be played quite quickly. Wait a second. Is there anything to be said for a move like this? It looks kind of dumb. Okay, he decided not to do it. Played Queen G3 really quickly. But I guess that maybe something like this is really bad. I don't know why actually. Maybe just this and coming to F2. That would be pretty bad. Yeah. Okay. So Queen G3 was played, and now D3 was played instantly. So clearly Black is sort of starting to recall his prep. So this is actually quite cool what it was, I guess. I guess after E3, he's yeah, actually I'm not so sure what he wants. Maybe I guess his idea will be something like this. If you play King, yeah, D takes E2 is the idea, yeah. So if you take on D8, there will be E1 Queen check. This will be very important. But if Bishop takes E2, it's so clear. It's one of these moments, yeah, that I'm not so sure. Yeah, I don't know. H3, what does Black do here? Not sure. Not sure at all. Can we get this knight E4 now? Does that make sense? Queen G4, knight F2, Queen F3, and then maybe we take on D1 or something like that? Because now his knight is hanging and we should be able to get our stuff out, yeah. Maybe we can now... Actually, I don't know. We can take on V2 maybe. And it looks quite unclear. Yeah, I don't know. Probably this is not good for white though, yeah. I mean, the king is quite exposed, and maybe we just bring our rook and take this pawn, and I don't know, it looks quite interesting, but probably only for black. Okay, so I just realized there is bishop d7, so yeah, this would be really really bad, which is why white has played f3. This is quite cool because obviously the queen controls the e1 square, which means that after d takes e2 we can take on d8, because you can't give a check here because I'll take it. So this doesn't work. And so black plays rook c8 very quickly. I think black sort of remembered its prep now, and this is gonna be really interesting to see how I can figure things out, because I don't know, I think it's one that's really hard to figure out if you don't remember what to do. And I'm not sure also that this was the best idea to play this line against, someone who's a bit low rated but is really well booked up. So, not sure about this opening choice, to be honest with you. Okay, let's move on to the next game. We have Vietnamese against Bacoyo. Bacoyo's had a really, really tough last last day. I mean, the day before the rest day, he lost both games, which is not what you want, yeah. Because you, I was gonna say, if you lose the last game before rest day, then it gives you a sour taste in your mouth. But losing the last two, oh my goodness, I can only imagine it must be devastating. But that's part of life. And the thing about these Filipino players is that they are very resilient. They are able to come back from these, adverse moments. And it looks like he's got a dominant position. He plays c5, and his strategy is very simple. He goes for bishop f5 and goes for e4, which makes a lot of sense. This is a very, very standard way of playing against this, forcing the knight back to e1 and then just developing bishop e7. I'm surprised he didn't put it on d6. That would seem a little bit more active, no? Because then you would be able to castle and get rook e8 really quickly and use the e file. But okay, bishop e7 was played, and I still really like black, obviously. I mean, it's not clear how white's gonna break, and black is very, very clear plan of castling rook e8, and then he's got very easy play. Alright, let's move on. So we have Jonathan Bodema against Dang An Min. So we got a we've got a QG deep. We have a typical chaos structure. Queen c2 is the big main line, of course. Stopping bishop f5. h6 has been played. And now white plays knight e2. This is of course the aggressive way of playing, because with knight on e2, white is gonna make it a bit easier for white to play f3, e4. On the other hand, black can hit the center with c5 in these lines once f3 has been played. So, it's quite double-edged. So h3, knight a6. Looking at knight b4. So a3, of course. And knight heads to e6. This is interesting, because basically what black is trying to do in this game is to go for a kingside attack. So he's going to let white push all the way on the queen side and get his minority attack going. But he's going to go for some kingside attack. And white obviously has not much to do. He has to try to get that attack going, so b5. And honestly, I'm not sure how black's going to continue the attack, to be honest with you. For instance, if knight h5, I'm thinking you can even just take on c6, yeah, and then, there are different ways to play here. I'm not sure. Maybe you can start with, does move like knight e4 make sense? Try to go to v6. But maybe, okay, maybe we have to watch out for some ideas like this. And yeah, okay, maybe this would be quite annoying, because I guess, something like this, with knight h3 coming, would not be ideal. So, there is some things we have to watch out for. Bishop h3 is quite a serious threat. So I'm not sure what do we do. It's not so clear what to do actually against bishop h3. Yeah, I'm not sure. Computer is saying rook a1, which is interesting. So if you take bishop h3, then there is apparently this move. Interesting. So if it takes queen g6, knight g7, then we just take back on h3. And apparently it's nothing. Because if you do queen d7, I guess there is this. And there is no way for black to do anything. So maybe knight h3, but then king g2, and if knight g5, I can still take probably this one, yeah? And white is doing well. So that's a nice point, rook a1, just to exchange off that rook, that active a-file rook. And then there's going to be bishop g6. Okay, that's pretty nice, to be fair. Okay, let's move on to some of the other kids. Under 14 guys. Let's see. So, okay, we have another. Oh, it's not an IMSO. It's d4 line. I realized that the Vietnamese players really like to play 1d4. Yeah, I don't know why, but you see a lot of 1d4 lines from them, which is, it's nice to see. I'm a 1d4 player myself, so it's good to see that the new generation is continuing, to pass on the traditions of 1d4, which is nice. Okay, black hits d4. I'm not sure about this. This is quite interesting play, but clearly it's like both players a bit out of prep. Yeah, black talked for quite a bit before doing this, to be honest. So it should be interesting. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we had one of the staff bring me some juice, so yeah, really appreciate that. I have to say the service here is pretty decent. Yeah, I mean the hotel is a bit dilapidated and everything, but the service is nice, which is a nice touch. Mm. Anyway, d4 is played. So this looks kind of dangerous because I guess if we take, he's gonna take with a knight, and his knight's gonna be really strong on d4, at least temporarily. So queen d1, and maybe move like queen, no, queen b6. If knight a4, there's a check on b4. So this one looks actually quite annoying because you're threatening to take this guy. Yeah, and also targeting this one on f2. So yeah, I don't know. Looks quite dangerous. So I don't think we can take. Wow, so he's castled. I think that had to be played because if you move the knight, there would be something like bishop b4 check, and our king would be forced to a really bad square. Yeah, so king b1, for instance, and I think there would be many ways from black to play here. White doesn't even have any real threats, so I think castles has to be played. So it's not too hard to find because there isn't much else to do. All the other alternatives are bad, right? So castles, and yeah, we'll see what black has in mind here because it seems like now you know he doesn't really have that much of an attack. Like I want to take on e6 as well. That's one thing. Yeah, I can easily tuck my king to d1 if necessary. So we'll see what black does. Maybe he's got to move his queen so that he threatens his knight again. Which could be interesting actually. So I'm not sure where the knight goes. For instance, if knight b5, I don't know. Maybe you can take on e3 or something. It looks quite interesting. Yeah, some position like this looks quite interesting. Yeah, I think black is actually okay. So maybe that's the way you play queen a5. Now there are other moves. You can play bishop f6 for instance, and maybe this is a better try. And rook f6 then knight e4. But let's say the rook goes back. I'm not fully convinced that this is so good for white. Yeah, we could take that pawn on e6, and then maybe I don't know. We can attack our king in a corner. But it's not so clear. I mean, there are opposite bishops, and black's ready to start to hit our queen. So I think all in all, it's quite an interesting position. Okay, so let's move on. What else is going on? Uh, I think most of the games are. Well, let's start to look at some of the younger guys then. What do we have here? We have one of these typical lines. It's the Catalan, but weirdly D3. I always tell these younger players, you should play main lines. Let's go for d4. What's not to like? Yeah, castles, knight c3, queen d3, and play for e4. That's the way you should play chess, no? When you're a kid. And then when you're older, then you start to play lines like this. That's why you see those lines that start to get played in the senior section. Yeah. But when you're young, you should play main lines, not side lines. Knight c3, b6, queen c2, and black gets e5. Yeah, and that's another thing because as a young player, it's a bit hard to handle these sidelines because if you're not careful, black will just get a lot of the will just take control of the center, and you could easily be worse. And before you know it, I actually like black now. I really like black. It's got a very nice center, and now he's starting to get his play. You see, black's the one with the breaks. He plays v5, and f4 does seem like white's getting his own break in, but I don't know. I don't really buy what white has done here. Take knight f4. Maybe he should have taken with the pawn, but anyway, b takes c4 was played, and I'm not sure about queen c4. Maybe b takes is better. But now black gets knight e5, hitting the queen, and he's taking control of this outpost, which is very, very nice play. And I think black is really starting to outplay his opponent. Bishop c8, and I like that. Knight g2, and eventually after bishop f4, there is knight g4. And the knight is looking at this juicy e3 square, which I don't see how white can really protect. Maybe he's got to, that if he takes this, maybe I can jump in right away so you don't have time for knight f5. Okay, maybe it's not so bad. But maybe I can take a rook first, that's the way, yeah? And then I win. Because obviously not this, because of this, and it's already unclear. But I can take the rook right away, and I win. Because if you go back, I can just go back to e3, and I win this endgame very easily. Yeah, queen e3, I can just play rook cd8, for instance, or something. And white is doing very badly. Queen d4 is coming. And you don't even have this because I can take it. Yeah, so this would be really, really bad. Okay, so that's the under 12s. Let's look at the younger guys. What's going on? We have another one of these sidelines. It seems that the Vietnamese really love these knight f3 g3 sidelines. Yeah, as I was saying, you should play more main lines when you're a kid, no? But okay. I don't know. Also, I'm not sure about the way they're playing these sidelines because I feel like Black is getting very nice position solved up. Yeah, this is what you want to avoid actually playing this sideline as a person that plays these lines a lot. So yeah, Bishop E3, and I think Black is doing well. He can just develop normally, and actually this open A file is very favorable for Black. You can try to put pressure here in the future. So I'm not sure about what White has done here. I feel like White hasn't played this properly. But anyway, we'll see. Still a big fight. Anyway, let's go to Haki, who is our young hope, and he's actually doing pretty well in tournaments in Malaysia. So yeah, and he's actually about three in this tournament, so he can't be doing too badly, certainly. So C3 Bishop D6, you see these players, they know their theory as well. Yeah, these Indian players, they know their stuff, and so does Haki. He plays G6 very quickly, and F5. Okay, this is still, as I understand, some sort of theory. Knight D7 and H4. Okay, that's interesting. Trying to just get H5. Haki plays knight to F8, which is interesting. I'm not sure why he avoided knight F6. Maybe he didn't like this. But just bishop E7 looks pretty decent though. And now we have ideas like, for instance, you can play knight D5 or maybe knight E4 later in the game. So I'm not sure why he avoided this. Because knight F8 does look a little bit passive. But okay, what he did, yeah, I'm not sure about what he did. Yeah, okay, maybe it's still okay because why he's gonna play bishop e6, and then try to push on the queen side. Yeah, maybe I'm a bit harsh on him because his position looks kind of okay still. Maybe White didn't play the most accurately, but it seemed like White played logically, and Black is doing well. So let's see. I guess bishop e6 will come, and we'll see what White does. If king b1, I guess you could even consider some move like, I don't know, a5 instead of push here, b5 later, and we'll see. Or maybe even b5 immediately. Why not? Maybe b5 is more accurate, just to stop c4, yeah? And I think Black is doing well. Right, let's move on to the other players. Okay, we have a lots of I'm just seeing if we have any other interesting games here. No, we have some games where somehow someone got his rook trapped. Yeah. Whoa, what's happened here? This looks like an interesting one. So it's a London E3, and I don't know how, but White's got some stuff trapped. But maybe it's not too bad, as we'll see. Queen C5, Queen B3. Yeah, this is old theory, as I understand. And Bishop C7. So it's trying to target this pawn. And as I understand, usually the doubled B pawns are not an issue in this position, but I don't know. Knight D4 doesn't feel like the right way because now they could become an issue. I think Black just had to keep the tension, just play something like castles and then take it from there. Shouldn't be too worried about Knight takes F5, yeah. And because he can just take back with a G pawn, and that's pretty decent play here. Okay, Knight D4 was played, and already I kind of like White because these pawns they're gonna be there, right? And we have now the center, we have now the e file, and Black plays a very interesting idea. He tries to trap the rook, but I think I think this was a mistake because now after Bishop D7, and I think this is what Black missed because after Bishop F6 there is Rook takes E6, and White gets a whole bunch of pawns for it. KG7 and Bishop takes D5. So White has now got so he's got two extra pawns on the queen side and one on the king side. So she's got three pawns. She or he, I can't remember. But white player has three pawns for the exchange. And a very nice bishop on d5. Also, these pawns they could be weak still because if b5 is ever played, we're gonna allow b4. We're just gonna play a3 and cover this square. So these pawns will be kind of weak still because if black will play b6, then we can start to target this guy or something like bishop c6. So a3 I guess has to be played because otherwise b4 will come, and then we can do whatever we want. Yeah, we can play king f1. We can start to bring the rook to e1. Yeah, maybe you can reroute this knight somewhere to e4. That also looks very strong. Maybe not king f1 to be fair. A knight d2 to e4 looks like a good idea. Maybe trying to reroute to hit these pawns. I really like white here. I like these pawns. These pawns look good. But all right, let's move on. I think that's pretty much covering all of the interesting games. I've pretty much covered all of the interesting games for now. So I guess it's time to take a quick break, and I'll be back in about 10-15 minutes time. All right, so don't go anywhere.
Do thằng này nó tính đúng hướng đấy thành ra là nó cũng đấy mà tức là do thằng nó đang trăm trăm này thế ra mình chưa chụp
All right, we are back, and welcome back to the welcome back to the stream. So yeah, let's go ahead and continue with our coverage of the games. So we have, of course, some interesting games. I believe there were some developments in the Arca game. I did go up to the hall to have a look, so there should be some interesting games here. Okay, so let's see what's happening in the Arca game. We really liked Arca's position, yeah. Yep, so actually we're getting someone here join us, yeah, and this guy actually plays this line quite a lot, so yeah, welcome Wei Lin to the stream.
Hello.
Oh, so is this your line, I guess, yeah? C4,
Yeah.
D4 and B4. Interesting. So it's going for like a reverse banko, yeah? I don't know, I feel like these could be interesting lines to try, especially cause banko is I feel like the Vanko in general gives pretty good comp, right?
Yeah.
And also, with the Bishop on G7, I think this is a quite a nice version of the Vanko. That's what I feel. And actually, he blundered right away, Rook V8. Well, not blunder, but like a serious inaccuracy, and because he allowed Bishop C5. And then the point is, I think he wanted to V6, but there's this, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Yeah. So knight D7, and yeah. Yeah. What do you think of this position?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good for white. Um, yeah, he's not down a pawn and he has this A file which he can work with.
That's true. Yeah, he's got his pawn back. Yeah, he's got a lot of play on the green side too. Okay, Kevin is fighting. He plays B5. So obviously you can't take because it's a pin, right? So
Yeah.
he plays C5. I don't know. Looks pretty nice for white. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So also I'm not sure how black's going to get his stuff out. Right. That's the thing. If he goes Bishop B7, I think I can already take on B5, right?
Yeah, I think. Wait,
Look at that. Bishop B7.
take on B.
So let's say you take. If he takes here, it's insert this one. Yeah. So you
Yeah.
can't be clever with this because I'll take on F8 first.
Yeah,
So
I think this
probably
works.
he takes back, yeah, and then Bishop F3. Yeah, because I think the problem is that I'll be able to protect his pawn always with C6,
Yeah.
right? So like if you try to do this, I just go C6 and yeah, I don't know. It seems like you're in
Yeah.
trouble, no? I mean, I'm not threatening this yet, but I will be threatening it soon, right after I move the queen or something.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. So I think we like white here. Yeah? So we'll see what Calvin comes up because I don't know how he's getting stuff out, right?
Yeah.
So okay, maybe we move on to another one. What do we have here? We have we have this really interesting line. We left it somewhere here. E4 and knight e8 is the usual way because f4 is met by f5 in a lot of these lines, right? So that's why you play knight e8 and f4, bishop a6, and now we see f5 if we play. Yeah, yeah, queen h4 check, and yeah, I think this is quite interesting. We thought white would take on f5, but no, knight d2. Yeah, it's interesting, yeah, because I guess white just wants to keep the central tension, and because he can't decide whether to play e5 or to take. I guess takes now is less appealing because, you know, the knight will easily get to e4 in a lot of these lines. Yeah,
Yeah, just like rook e8.
yeah, exactly. So I think ef5 is just less appealing here. Yeah. No, it looks interesting, but I don't know. I'm always biased because I always like these positions in black. But I think objectively
Should be fine. Yeah.
yeah, it should be fine for both sides. No real advantage. Yeah. Okay. No, this looks really bad. No, why? No, what happened is that he ran into this. And
Yeah.
then basically black just went for this e5, e4 thing that is very standard, these positions, yeah. Bishop e7 and yeah, bishop gets to e4. Oh, it's
Yeah, it's so good for black, I think.
yeah, it's already much better, yeah. Rook e1. He's trying desperately to get b4, but I don't even think he can get b4, right?
No.
Can he get b4 actually? I think I'll be so desperate as to try it. Take?
I think he can, but not sure if that's good or not.
That's true. That's true. He will not lose material with this, but
Yeah.
okay, but now what will black do? The question.
Maybe it's not fine because there's the bishop on h7.
So you say just take on before, or
Yeah.
just take? Let's say I do this.
Knight takes.
Takes.
Ah. Yeah.
Ah, but maybe there could be some rook a2, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe like this, for instance. I don't know whether you take on b. Oops, sorry. Sorry, I mean this. But is this so bad? So I go rook b2.
Maybe like queen a5.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't look very nice for.
Yeah. It's
Well,
not what
yeah.
you want with white. Yeah.
Yeah, queen b1. You just take, I guess. Oh, no, you could even go back to a3.
Yeah.
It looks very good either way.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so this is no good. But I think he at least had to try, right? Because when he did rook f2, I feel it's very passive. No?
Yeah. Very,
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing, but maybe now he'll play b4 because e2 is protected by the rook.
yeah.
Maybe that's
makes
why he
sense.
wanted this because he was worried about that rook a2 thing. But I think anyway, you know, I think black will be doing very well.
Yeah.
I think another thing that's worth mentioning is that black can just ignore.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to take on before and allow this. He can just ignore. Now I think white's pieces are just stuck also, yeah, because rook a2 is anyway gonna come, right? So maybe this is even better. I don't know. Okay, so this is probably very good, yeah. Any other game you wanna see?
No, not really.
Not really?
Just, yeah.
Yeah, let's look at some of the guys from under 16. You know, Ri Heng, he's got this normal position. Now I was saying I didn't really get this whole thing from white with ed5 because normally in this line you don't take on d5, right? So
Ah.
it's really weird. You just go like bishop g2 and because once you take on d5, right? I was thinking you just stay cd, right? And then the bishop is very bad against this,
Yeah.
right? Because you have to hit c4 to get rid of this, right?
Yeah.
But then you can't hit c4 because there's this knight there. And that's always the struggle in this line, yeah. So, but ed5, I'm not sure whether this was as good, but it seems he also got a good position. And actually, I couldn't find a way. Just now, I was thinking I was just like black should just go bishop f6.
Yeah, but it doesn't look good.
I don't know, it looks kind of artificial, but
Yeah.
castle's gonna happen. And then what? Then I'll go rook e8. And then what? I don't see how you can stop castles, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Because this guy's protected, so you can't even do like queen f3, right? Because I'll just castle.
Yeah.
And- Yeah.
I think black can just cast. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking if d4, you just castles and what's the big deal? No, maybe knight f5 is coming, rook e8 is coming. Yeah, if you don't go d4, then what? I would just castle anyways.
What was playing the game?
King f8, which I didn't understand. It seems so weird.
King. Ah,
I don't get it, to be honest. Why? Now his idea is to play like, sorry?
maybe you just didn't see the bishop f6 because it's kind of weird.
I don't know. It doesn't. It looks very natural. No, I mean you need to protect that knight, the castle. But
Yeah, maybe
I don't know.
not like not sort of attack on the bishop. I don't know how.
Yeah, maybe he
Ah,
got a
wait.
spoke to something.
Maybe some but it's not fast enough. I thought like maybe like g4, g5, like the pawn is
Ah,
d4.
like this. Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's not
that's
fast
true.
enough.
It's you're missing that one tempo. Yeah,
Yeah,
and black will go rook e8 and g5 will be too slow.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe he got spooked by this, but
yeah.
it's not anything. Yeah, king f8 is it's very strange. And then he even goes bishop f6 now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know.
But now there is some small pressure, I feel.
Yeah,
But okay, how to exploit that? He's gonna go king g7 next move, right?
king. Yeah, yeah,
I feel like if he can get two moves, king g7, rook e8,
yeah. It's fine. Yeah,
I even prefer black, right? Because you know white has created some weaknesses with g4 and everything.
yeah.
So white has to do something now. Question is what? What can he do? Don't know.
I'm maybe f4. I don't know if it works.
I was thinking about that. It
Yeah.
looks it looks interesting, huh? Knight takes has to be the move.
Maybe like queen f3.
Queen f3. So I can't move the knight, I guess.
Oh,
Do I have to play g5? It looks risky, I know.
g5.
What else?
Maybe h4.
h4, I
Yeah.
guess. That makes sense. Maybe I have to play h6 or something.
Yeah, I don't think white has anything.
Yeah, it's weird, no?
Yeah.
I'm thinking actually to do something crazy like this. My idea is if this, I want this.
I think it works. Yeah.
Because I'm thinking it has to be now, right? Otherwise,
Yeah.
once king g7 comes, then black is better.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't want black to be better, and this is the only one I can see. Which is not easy to meet, no? I'm thinking of it. Can I? Oh, I think I have to be kind of careful here.
Yeah.
No, but it might still work. I'm thinking to take like this and play
Yeah.
king g7, but I think that might be rook f1.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
attack is brewing. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
No, 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 no. This
No, but it's
mostly-
like knight g6. And knight g6, knight f4.
Yeah, that's true. You'll be able to block like that.
Yeah.
It's not clear still. Not
Yeah.
clear. Wait a second. Wait a second.
Oh.
Do I have this?
What? What if queen takes? I think that's the only
I'm
one.
gonna do this.
Oh. Yikes.
You have to do this, right?
Yeah, and then
that's
you
the
take
only
and then you
move.
take the rook. Yeah.
Takes.
You can.
And then it's just a beef.
Yeah,
it's
just-
just a
yeah,
beef. Yeah. No. Then rook f6 is very strong.
I mean, I think there's. Oh wait, there's not. I was thinking like bishop b2. Like, but
Bishop
there's,
b2. Yeah.
but there's
That
just
also
like
looks
knight
strong.
f4. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Blocking everything.
It seems to just hold on. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. No, this looks actually really strong, this knight e2. So maybe we need to do something else. f4, use that move. f4 has been played, by the way. So we will see this line. Knight
f4
f4.
was played.
Yeah,
Okay.
f4 was played. Queen f3. It has to be g5,
Yeah, it has
right?
to be. Yeah.
Like we could throw in we can throw in a bishop d4 check, but then e7 hangs.
Yeah. No.
There is on yeah, because the
No,
problem
no,
is that if I do this, then you have this.
Yeah. The king gets.
So this doesn't work. Because if not for rook e6, maybe it can hold, but rook e6 is over.
Yeah.
So g5. Yeah, we're saying h4.
I think h6 is the only move. Right?
I don't know what else to do because my trend is to do this.
Yeah. Take any.
And then do this,
Yeah.
and I just eat the knight for free.
Yeah.
a6 and knight e2. No, it looks really strong now. This. This looks very strong.
Yeah.
I don't know what we can do. So
Yeah. I, wait, maybe.
something. It looks horrible, but I cannot see anything else.
Yeah, I think it's fine, I guess.
It's fine. I don't know whether it's fine. It looks really bad, no. But
But how does white like break through here? Right.
sure, sure.
Right. I
We need more firepower.
yeah.
We need more power in this. Well, at the very least, I can claim that I have very nice comp here. But I guess you'll exchange the queens.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, does it make sense for me to go away?
Yeah, but maybe there's like rook e8 just to protect everything.
True. And if rook f1, you give a check here, yeah?
Yeah.
And then you probably can move the king. That's
Can I take on a?
But that would be really bad, right?
Yeah, because you take on g5, right, or something.
Something like that,
Yeah.
yeah. Something like that. Still not clear, yeah? Not so clear. I mean, there's compensation, right? Like, all the
Yeah.
time. So I guess this will happen, yeah. And it's only a pawn, right? For what?
Yeah, it's
Think
only a
about it.
pawn.
It's not like white stacked a whole bunch of stuff. It's only a pawn. Okay, well, the engine is saying that this is nonsense, as always. Queen f3 is okay.
Queen
Apparently
f2.
queen f3 is also good. I don't know what he's thinking. I think he has to grab it and pray, right? Because
Yeah.
if he doesn't do it, then he
Just
suffers
like
for nothing,
f4, f5, like
right?
yeah, stuff.
It's like if you're gonna be suffering anyways,
Yeah.
you might as well have a pawn for it, right?
Right.
Rather than, be stuck. So g5, it's just be suggested, right? Knight e2, and ooh, there's queen v6 here. Benefits of waiting queen on f2, I guess, in that sense. But I don't know why he wants to force bishop c5 and then go back like this. To be able to hit with b6, I
Like
guess.
b6, c5.
Yeah, that makes sense actually. Yeah, and apparently this is full compensation, but not more, which is surprising because I would think it's very dangerous for black. Yeah, but
Yeah.
maybe there is no way to break through, as you mentioned. Okay, we'll come back to this one and see what's going on. We have the rapper son, Pyro Adrian here, and yeah, we're just saying a rapper's son should not play, such a passive line, right? But okay, whatever. No, he wants to go on his own path, I guess, which is respectable. It's honorable. Rook b1, and already I like black. Sorry, I like the bishops. I cannot say otherwise. To say otherwise would be a lie.
Yeah.
No, I mean yesterday on my stream I was going on about how much I love bishops, so gotta be consistent in that. And the more moves are being played, the more I like black. Yeah,
Yeah,
white's still solid for sure, but I feel like black is so comfy.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want, even e4.
Yeah.
I think it might do e4, right, at some point, because I don't know.
I think the knight is kind of lost. Like.
Yeah, it's true. There's no good outpost,
Yeah.
right? Because, yeah, actually, I think about it, maybe not that fast, because that would give him the d4 square,
Yeah.
right? So maybe we just bring the king or something.
Yeah, just slow.
Yeah, slow improve.
Maybe like bishop
e6
e6.
seems fair, yeah. So if he pushes you want to ask him what if he pushes this guy. Now maybe he tries to exchange, yeah.
I think you can trade, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't want to trade, right? Two bishops and everything. I like to
okay.
keep my bishops, right? So maybe, I don't know, I keep it on c8. Just so that I can keep my bishops. What's his idea of knight d2? Trying to think. It could be knight c4.
It could be knight f3 or something.
But that will run into e4. Yeah, or it could be knight f3, bishop f6, so.
Yeah.
So he goes bishop f6, so mysterious move. It makes sense though, because I think the bishop has, done its job on g5.
Yeah. And like
So-
if knight c4, you can just kick the knight. So.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Because it's protected already. So
Yeah.
it's almost like prophylactically defending this. Yeah, we can kick it with a move like b5, I guess. And start to push these guys as well.
Yeah.
Because I think the strategy will be to keep the bishop, so don't exchange them, and then slowly just try to push.
Yeah.
So you push on the queen side, push on the king side, and at some point, it will get really unpleasant for white. Because it's clear, I think white is just trying to draw. From the start, white is been playing to draw this game, which I think
Yeah, it's not a good strategy.
is a really bad strategy, especially since he's not even that much higher rated. He's less than 100 points higher rated, you know what I mean? Plus, you know, this roomy guy's been 1900 before, right? So why are you scared of 1900?
Yeah, that's
Feels strange.
yeah.
But I don't know, maybe something went wrong with his prep, I don't know. But definitely it's a disaster for White if he gets such a position. As anyway, this is another one, yeah, where we thought White was doing very well. Because White messed up. He was supposed to play Queen B3, Knight C3 and Bishop C4 like this, right?
Ah, yeah, I got this.
But Bishop C4 is a wrong move order because it allows this.
Ah,
This is something worth mentioning. And I made this mistake before. Good, thankfully not in classical chess, but you know, it's one of these things that you can get wrong. And already I think I like black. 95 looks weird though. I was thinking we just go Bishop E6 and then we go Rook C8.
yeah.
And then it's really hard to kick these guys because you have to kick with B3, right? But then it weakens everything. So you won't be able to kick these guys. And that means that it'll be hard for you to develop this bishop, your whole queen side, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we like black here a lot. So, but 95 was, I don't know. I don't know about this. Bishop E6, I think black is still fine, but I think white is also doing well. Queen C2. Yep, B5. It's very ambitious, this move.
Yeah, I mean, black has all the play, I think.
Yeah, but I don't know. It feels super ambitious, B5, no?
Um,
I probably wouldn't have done it, to be honest with you, because it just seems too much. I was thinking even just something like Bishop D5, a simple move. I want to take this guy, yeah.
ah,
So I will force you to do something about that.
yeah, like bishop e4. Maybe.
Yeah, but then maybe I can grab this guy.
Ah, yes. I don't think it's very good for white.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I feel like my structure is so nice already. Why would I do this? Because
Yeah.
now, you know, I have to worry about AB5, right? Which should change the structure and then maybe lose this guy. This guy is hit. Maybe he missed that you can just go Bishop B5 or something. I don't know
Yeah.
what he missed.
Yeah, I think he missed this.
Because it seems like such a natural move. Oh, so.
Ah, that's true.
But okay, sometimes it's a morning game.
Yeah.
So in a morning game, it's easy to miss some simple stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're not used to playing morning games. Yeah, if you're one of the guys who plays like all the tournaments with single rounds, then the morning games will be hard. That's how it is. But I don't know. For me, it's always been the afternoon ones that are a bit harder. But some people have struggled a lot with the morning games. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm more of a morning person. Maybe that's why. But okay, I guess yeah, it's true. He has to play B4. Is what I suspected. Because you allow AB5, right? And it's just no
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Like if you were to play like F6 for instance, then I think this could be, I don't know, I'm not so sure about
Maybe
something like
it's
this.
fine this one. I don't
No,
know.
you still play A5, yeah. I
Yeah.
guess.
It's fine.
But okay, I get Rook B1. Maybe it's still fine.
Yeah, I
No,
think-
no. Maybe I shouldn't take on B5 yet then. Maybe I just go back. And then maybe I also have this E file now, yeah.
Ah, yeah.
So I just play like this. Maybe I have Queen E2 ideas to step out of this B file. Like if we were to play B4, then I can step out everywhere with Queen E2, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's true. Then okay, I think black should just play b4, and it's just going for something like this. I feel like white structure has improved, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. I think black's still a little bit more
Yeah,
comfortable.
like
Yeah?
the pieces are more active, I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know. Still, I don't know. You can play rook b1, for instance, I guess. Kick this guy back and then ring the queen, something like this.
mm.
I don't think you worry too much about bishop d4. Yeah, because if
Yeah, you
he's
can
gonna
take
give
on
that.
D7.
Yeah, but even if not bishop e7, you know, giving up this bishop is always going to be good for us, right? So, yeah, I think we are doing okay here. Yeah, so yeah, I think well, black has messed up a little bit, but he's still doing okay, you know. Still got chances, obviously. This one was a four knights, yeah, and we had knight c5 and okay, bishop c7. White's not playing for a draw. No, because it's funny because most of the time when white players play this line, I feel it's to play for a draw,
Ah, yeah.
right?
Sure.
Because it's extremely solid. 90% of games here end in a draw, right? Between masters.
Dang.
So, but okay, knight e2 is a sign that white's not fully playing for draw, I guess, because otherwise I think they would play bishop g5.
Yeah, I need to check everything again.
And then the line is you got bishop d6, and then you have a lot of moves, knight e2, rook e1 or something. And then black can play h6 and, you know,
Just
take,
straight. Yeah.
something like that. Or rook b8 first, I think is the way. b3, and okay, you know, h6, and, you know, some
Just
sort of
check
position
everything.
like this. And I think one of the most common ideas is that the knight will come, but then can't go anywhere, so it goes to f5, and the opposite bishop draw, yeah?
Ah,
So like something like this, and I know king g7. No, not king g7 because of knight h5.
yeah.
But something along these lines, and there will be some knight h5, knight f5 at some point, and there'll be a draw. Maybe like c5, and then there'll be some draw like this, yeah.
Yeah, it's easy draw.
So that's usually, I think, how most of the games end here. But okay, knight e2 is a sign that white's trying to go for something else, and h6 I think is a very standard move in these structures. So you stop bishop g5.
Yeah.
But black plays something else. He goes knight d7. He's going for knight e5. Yeah, I think this is the thing about these youth events. You see a lot of like interesting play, right?
Ah,
Like not non-standard moves that actually turned out to be not too bad. Yeah, maybe not as good as the main moves, but you know they're not too bad. Bishop c7. I'm not sure this is that much of a winning try. Oh,
yeah. I
okay.
mean, just move the queen.
Yeah, but okay, where to move the queen now? I'm realizing. If you go
Queen
here, then
f6.
this would be I think quite bad.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So because you control g6, right? So it's got to be a
Yeah.
bit careful.
D7.
Makes
don't know.
sense. But I guess now he'll go bishop e5. I don't know, maybe this knight c5 was a bit optimistic. Maybe it's still not too bad. You go g6 or something.
Yeah.
Oh, but there's queen h4.
You take.
Ah, but this is the thing here. I thought I had queen f6, but there's knight
Yeah.
e5. So I have to play cd3 and you have time to go back. Fair enough. Oh, not back there, sorry. To e7.
E7.
To e7, of course.
Yeah.
And if this, then f6. But not bishop f8 because of queen f6 and white wins. Okay. Yeah. Alright. Any other games? Let's see. Have the we have two Malaysian players here. We have a Malaysian Ng Shu Heng, which I don't really know, against a honorary Malaysian player because he plays so much in Malaysia, Endo Shuma.
Yeah.
I think he probably studies here. Yeah, and he played his first tournament in Japan, but he's more Malaysian than Japanese, to be honest. If he's been studying here as a kid. So okay, h3, bishop e3 and a5, g4. It's one of those lines, yeah.
Yeah.
A5 is kind of interesting. I think this is some weird sideline, but it transposes back to I think one of the main lines here, yeah, where black plays knight dc5. Interesting. He doesn't go for knight a. I guess he wanted to prepare f5, but is it that good? That's the thing. Bishop f2. Why? I guess because he didn't like something like this and queen h4 check.
Maybe. Yeah, I think so.
Maybe he didn't like
Yeah.
this, so he take bishop f2 like that. Yeah, but I don't know. This bishop h6.
Yeah, I don't think it's good for white.
Ooh.
Oh,
Maybe he missed this one, yeah? Bishop h6. No, bishop f2 feels weird.
yeah.
I think you just have to go like knight e2, no?
And just like move the king.
And yeah, just like king d1 and king c2, and what's the big deal, no?
Yeah.
Ah, I guess he was afraid of knight before, yeah? But yeah, maybe it's a bit awkward here as well. I don't know, maybe this f5 was pretty good. I think it might be some sort of prep, yeah, actually.
Yeah.
This f5 could have been some sort of a prep. Okay, so the computer's suggesting castles here, but
Yeah, makes a lot of
okay,
sense.
yeah, and it's quite interesting. You continue knight e2 and usual play here. Yeah, but bishop f2 feels weird, and I think bishop h6 is correct. Yeah, queen e2 and wow, rook takes f2.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
This looks really nice.
Oh,
King
yeah.
f2. I love this. Bishop d7. Slow improvement. I love this, yeah, because he's like, it's sacked the exchange, full exchange now. And it's like, don't worry, I have full compensation. I just go rook f8.
Yeah.
No, this is very inspired play, like before. Okay, and he's going to d3, I guess. I'm not sure that before was necessary, though.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I was thinking maybe just rook f8 seems very logical, no?
Yeah, yeah.
Then maybe he was thinking of king g2, and do I have a follow-up here? So that's why he wanted to go to d3, so then he has knight f4. The thing is that here, I don't know whether...
I think the knight has to go back.
Yeah, whether he can do anything with the knight. Probably has to go back, alright.
Yeah.
But I'm
But
sure
black is
he's...
still fine, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he's trying to look for a way to do something here. I don't know. Knight c2 makes no sense. You just take it. You can't go to d3. Can you leave it there? That seems impossible, no?
Yeah, I don't see.
That seems impossible. I'm not sure. Maybe we got a bit too carried away with this.
Yeah.
But okay, there is some advantage to forcing a3. That is that we have this now.
Yeah.
So white probably has to cover this because if knight comes to d4, I think white's toast.
Yeah.
But how? Queen c2? But then maybe bishop e3. With his idea if king g2, knight b3 anyways. And we get to d4.
Yeah.
No, I really like black still. I really like black. Yeah, computer loves black as well.
Yeah.
Apparently, computer is suggesting this, and he says that black's best move is not to keep queens, but to take on e1. And go knight b3 like this. And just head on over to d4. Other knight heads on to c5. There are even ideas like this apparently to pick up the queenside pawns. It's just massive play here. That's how much he seems to love this this dark squares, yeah. Dark square control. Oh, this is quite a cool one, I think. Okay, let's see what else is there to see. On the 12th, maybe. All the under 12's doing. We have this one, which is a draw, of course. Does you just wait, yeah?
Yeah.
Imagine if white loses this.
Yeah, I see it.
I don't see how, but you know, I've seen weirder things happen, especially in these youth events when the endgame technique is sometimes brilliant and sometimes questionable at best.
Yeah, but they're bought one, so
Yeah, but they're also under 12, so
fair.
I don't know. Maybe I underestimate their endgame skill. I don't know. From what I can see, their endgames are usually quite hit or miss. They're either really good at them or just horrible, absolutely horrible. Ah, we have a line that I think you will like. We have this one, g3, and c4.
Yeah.
Queen b3. I don't know. The way I was taught to play this line is you play like some sort of d3 at some points. You take and play d3 like this. With his idea, if you play bishop e7, you do this, yeah, and then queen c2. And you play at knight c3 and then go for e4.
Yeah.
But okay, queen b3 is possible, I guess. The thing is that now queen b6 is not so easy to meet. Yeah, d3 and knight bd7. And now I'm not sure about what white did. He took on b6, but I guess he had to, right?
Yeah.
Because he didn't have an option to really go back with the way black's pieces were placed.
Yeah.
Like if you do this, then you know if I take, then it's already rook d8.
Yeah.
And with knight coming to e4, I like black. Yeah? So I guess he had to do this, but already I was liking black here. Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, it's not so simple. CD5, and okay, there's f4. So you play h3 and knight d7, and now f4. So big threat is f5,
Yeah.
which I think forces some f6 or something.
Yeah, I think it's white is some play, but it should be drawish.
Yeah, I don't know. I start to like white again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, there are different ways for white to play.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm not sure whether I want to push f5 because it allows him to get the e5 square. It's possible to, I think, play a4 and try to maybe play b4 or something. Just to expand the on the queen side.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I think the plan for white is just to make small improvements, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to win on the spot, obviously.
Yeah.
So you're just trying to make small improvements. If we can take the e6 square with the knight, that would be a nice step in the right direction, I think.
Yeah.
Because we can take the e6 square and then cement it with f5. I think that could be quite nice. The question is, can we actually get this to go see? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought maybe bishop f7, I think.
Maybe bishop f7, yeah. Okay, and okay, let's say b4. Ah, you want knight e6, is it?
Yeah, knight e6.
Right. Okay. That makes sense, but can I go here?
Oh,
I don't know whether it's anything though.
maybe
maybe
just
just
move the
bishop
bishop.
f8.
Yeah.
And then later you kick me with g6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It probably is nothing, yeah.
Wait.
This guy was start to hang as well, huh?
Ah, yeah.
Oh wait, no, you could have taken
Yeah,
it.
you
I
can
think.
just take.
You
Yeah.
just take it,
Yeah,
okay.
just take.
So I should be more careful about
Yeah.
this. Actually, what can I do here? So sure.
Rook f b1, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe rook f b1. Yeah, but it probably shouldn't be that much. Yeah,
Is that like take c5?
maybe, but maybe. Oh yeah, but maybe I have to take, yeah,
Take
and then
take.
bishop f2.
Okay, there's
No, I
some
think maybe
weakness
you
now.
shouldn't
Yeah,
allow
actually.
b4.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
just castle. Yeah.
yeah, maybe just castle and just. Then maybe now I go knight f5 because you don't have bishop f8.
Wow.
You have to go like rook e8, I guess. Maybe it's still playable, yeah, something like this. I take and then yeah, I have two bishops. I can claim that I have a small edge with the two bishops, but they're still solid, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's some of these things that I guess black has to watch out for, but it's kind of. I think I would prefer white.
Yeah.
You pro
Yeah. But maybe he can take on d4 first before castling. Then maybe.
Okay, so we get b1. Oops, sorry, not knight f5. We
Yeah.
get b1. Uh, and now we're saying take on d4 first, right? And
Yeah.
then cast this. Yeah, maybe this is the way.
Maybe this is better. I think.
Can we hit with this, or is it too much?
Hmm.
I'm trying to find ways for white to play for win, yeah? This seems like a logical one.
Yeah. Maybe just take. I think you have to take.
Yes, to take, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
simple, yeah.
Yeah.
The d8, but then okay, I'm not sure whether you have a threat. I could even just go back with my bishop, I guess. And then later I bring my king. Don't know whether to e2 we'll decide. Maybe I can start push on the king side.
Yeah. Maybe like knight f8.
Yeah, maybe, and then
Okay.
try to get to e6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think obviously black is very, very solid. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think white's a bit more comfy, but black's very
Yeah.
solid.
For sure.
Okay, we'll see how this one goes. It'll be a long game for sure, this
Yeah.
one. So we won't be able to cover it to the end. Now we have a hockey game.
Yeah.
Wow, queen's on a7. How did that happen? No, we were saying that, somewhere here, right?
Yeah.
White did something a bit unusual. He played h4, but it's quite logical as well, of course. He wants to push h5.
Yeah.
It's just not the move that's played that often. And I think the reason why is this because of something like this, and you go bishop e7 like this. And, later we go knight e5, trade his bishops, and we're fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, knight f8 was played. And, okay, it also looks very logical. Yeah, g3 and bishop e6. And now I played c4, but it gets hit by b5, which is very standard idea in these Caracons, right?
Yeah.
c5 and bishop drop stack, no problem. Queen f7, and that pushes. Simply a5, takes, and a4.
Yeah.
Oh, I like
very
black.
good for black, I think.
With every passing move, I love black
Yeah.
more and more. Queen a7.
How do you even stop?
Yeah, you can't even stop
Yeah.
queen a2. Okay, how bad is that? It looks really bad, I know, but it's
No,
that
maybe
bad.
queen h3 is better.
And you will still run to c3, right? Okay, so
No,
let's try to
uh-uh.
find a way for white to defend this. I mean, white can't attack, that's clear. The attack is gone.
Yeah.
So let me try to get rook a, forcing you to do something here. How you win? That's the question.
I mean, you can take on b3, so like queen a3 and
True
then
that.
b4, and then you just take on b3.
True.
Yeah.
I have bishop c4 check,
Ah.
so I don't lose on the spot. But I guess this is still quite bad. Yeah, you just. Oh, is it quite bad? If you go to g7, I have bishop e5. Suddenly I'm getting my play.
Oh.
You maybe do this.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see the follow up. You're going to give a check next move. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Let's say I do rook e1.
Yeah, queen b2.
Queen b2 check. I can't even block. Okay, so this is horrible.
Yeah.
No, then this is really bad, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's as bad as it looks then. Can I say? It is as bad as it looks. Maybe we don't even need to dig. I was wondering, can we do this actually? This is more accurate. Before check like this. Because anyway, it takes his suicidal because of, I think cause of rook b8 and you just get mate.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it mate though? Takes things. Yeah, no, you get rook
Yeah,
b8. You get into this. Anyway, just normally.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even by any mate, just normal. So you go to d2.
Then you take on b3.
And I'm thinking we take now.
That's
so you have
not
no
bishop
bishop c4, exactly. And now It's easy.
Yeah, easy.
It's way easy.
Yeah.
We just win the exchange. Oh, no, wait. King C1.
Yeah, just
Still
take,
bishop
right?
C4 check.
Oh.
Still bishop C4 check.
I mean, you don't have to take. But
Yeah, we don't have to take. That's the thing, I think. Maybe
yeah,
knight
96.
6
Yeah.
or something. And now we want to take. We want to take here as well.
Yeah.
Take here as well. Black wins.
Yeah.
Wins.
Yeah.
White's not surviving.
Yeah. No.
Let's see what the engine says. Is there any chance to survive? I'm sure the engine will love black. This is no question.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like -2, but what's white's best chance to survive? It is -2.
Yeah. Look
No,
at
this is the best chance apparently, but it's so hopeless, no? Queen A2, B4, and bishop B3, and rook A1 apparently. But
Oh.
so you get bishop C4 check like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, okay, maybe it's not so clear. Knight E6 takes. No, it's quite clear.
Yeah.
It's quite clear. Yeah, we can just we can take on D4. We can even take and go rook E4, and we totally crush him in his endgame.
Yeah.
Okay, it's over.
It's over.
So black wins.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Nice game actually. Very logical game, I think, in the Karo-kan.
Well, he played rook b1.
He played rook B1.
Whoa.
Whoa. Let's see. Rook B1.
What?
What
What?
on earth is that? Was that a brilliant idea or some sort of... Okay, firstly,
Wait,
I'm not sure why he did this. Is he trying to get F4?
Oh, that's
That has to be the idea, right?
yeah. That's
Because why would you do that?
yeah.
And now, if G-F4, you take the rook. That's the idea. So he has to play bishop F4.
You take
Check.
the pawn.
Oh, this is nice. If this, then
Yeah. Rook.
Ooh.
Yeah.
finish.
Yeah.
And if this, there must be a win. Sure,
Yeah.
there must be a win. It's impossible for there to not be a win. Bishop B3, Queen B3 check. Oops, that would lose.
Yeah. Maybe.
It's still possible to lose here.
Yeah.
Bishop F5.
Oh, that's nice.
Bishop F5.
Yeah, I
That's
think it
the
will.
way.
Yeah. That's
If
nice.
you take,
It's check.
check and mate on the spot.
Yeah.
If you don't take, bishop hangs and rook E1 is coming. Crushed.
Yeah. Yeah.
F4 is dead. Dead on the spot. Dead on arrival.
Was Queen G7 the best move? I mean, it could
If
be.
it was, then
Cause there's no like.
if it was, then I don't know. But I don't know why hasn't he played F4 instantly.
Maybe just double checking.
Maybe.
Because like there's no bishop takes b3. Like
Because
after
he played
B3.
Queen G7 like in 1 second, and then he thinks like, did he miss F4? Did he miss bishop E3 or what?
Maybe.
Maybe he'll stumble onto F4. I don't know. Yeah, imagine just like accidentally playing the best move. That would be cool. Yeah, because if you check here, then there's nothing here. You
Yeah.
can run here.
Yeah.
So it's not quite as convincing. So Queen G7, wow, if Queen G7 is the move, then it's epic. It's completely epic.
Never mind.
Okay, there are many moves that Queen G7 is
Okay.
up there. It's a very good move. Queen G7 is good.
I
You know,
thought
see,
maybe.
I tell you, we have a lot of talented players in Malaysia. We have so many of them. Bishop E3 and F4 is the move, of course. What else?
Yeah.
Simply nothing else, but I think that's the problem for White.
Yeah.
That's White's problem.
There's
Because
no moves. Yeah.
even if Black doesn't see F4, he'll see it at some point.
Yeah.
You know, he's got an hour. If it's this game at 10 minutes, at some point F4 will be like, it'll just come into his head, right? Because
Yeah.
it's a standard tactic, right? You cut
Yeah.
everything. Very standard tactic. So, yeah, you will see F4. He will play it. Maybe the broadcast is just an error. Maybe he blitzed it. He may have just blitzed it, and then he would have won already in that case. Okay, let's see what else is going on.
Whoa.
How did that happen? Oh, so it's a London? Yeah, I don't know. The London seems to be scoring well this tournament. I don't know. I don't like the London, as you know. I mean, I don't like it from the white side. I like it from the black side very much. But white seems to be scoring well in the London. Oh, and G4 and the rooks.
Oh.
What
Oh.
an epic way to lose. G5.
Oh my god.
Kindergarten tactics, literally kindergarten tactics, considering these guys are currently in kindergarten. So it's literally a kindergarten tactic. Next one. Should I look at the goals? Maybe there are interesting tactics here. No,
Nah.
the girls don't seem to like interesting tactics. They're more like positional. That's what I feel.
Okay.
In Asia. Okay, maybe not in this part of Asia at least. I mean, like, I feel if you see a lot of the other players from, let's say, Azerbaijan, where all the top women are not from now, you'll
That's a
see they have
draw.
very, very aggressive styles of play. Yeah, they just love to attack. But here, no.
That's a draw. Wow.
Is it a draw, really?
Wow.
Is this can't be a draw, surely. Okay, but there is,
Yeah.
opposite color be not opposite, the wrong colored pawn.
Yeah.
So we can exchange this guy as a draw.
Yeah.
Maybe we get to exchange it after all. I'm not sure. Black has one more. Okay, third it should be 6. Feels like the logical thing to do. But I'm a bit afraid that I have. No, it should be fine. It should be fine. I'm a bit afraid I can't go to the.
No, you can, I think.
I can, right? Yeah, I think I can. PH4, I just go King F1. I don't care. Then I just come here. Then I just come here, right?
Yeah.
And I stay F4. I don't care about this, I think. I think this should be a draw. I'm not mistaken. But I don't see how you can break this one. Like, something like this should be a draw, yeah. It's draw. It's draw. I just queen and let's say King G1. It's a draw.
Yeah.
This is probably the
Just
easiest
win.
way.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, I can probably just come here and then I'll get G3 F4. Yeah, that's my feeling. So probably I just take and then I get like,
Wait.
probably like,
Oh, this still a draw.
yeah, of course it's still a draw, right? Wait,
No, but now it's not the.
can I, yeah, I can't really trade. I have to try to trade this guy off. That's how. This question's how. Okay, I need to get F4 at some point. I have an idea. I'll just play B7 and I'll say what you're gonna do. Because you have to come over to take this pawn, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as you come over, I'll just say, okay, wait, yeah. Sorry about that. I'll just wait with, I don't know what to wait with. Maybe King F3. I would like to force G4. Because then I will have this very easy format,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So I'll just say play King F3. No problem. And then I say, okay, I'll wait. And I wait. No progress, yeah. I wait. And I wait again. And every time you start to come closer, then I'll go King G4. The very moment, you start to come closer, I'll get King G4 and play F4.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, you don't even have that. I'll just take it.
Yeah. Okay.
This one you might have to be careful as black, actually. I'll take it and start pushing my pawns. So, okay.
No,
That's an easy draw. It's easy draw.
okay.
Yeah. Just
But-
an easy draw. But H3 was played. He didn't do H4. I don't know.
But it's not that easy to like, cause they are. How are they? Like 10?
Yeah, in kindergarten, yes.
Ah.
So it's a. I'm not sure this is a kindergarten endgame. Although I would say that
It's a
that
bit hard, I
kindergarten endgame with the H pawn, that one is a kindergarten endgame. So by extension, they should start thinking maybe let's push H4, right, to get to the kindergarten endgame. Yeah. Yeah, I don't
Like
know.
they might like blunder or something. I don't know.
It's possible. I have seen crazier stuff happen. So yeah. Okay, why is going for H4? That's the idea. Makes a lot of sense as well. I'm not sure what black can do about that.
If like H4, maybe like G4.
Maybe you start with H5 so that
Yeah.
because I think what you want to avoid is something like this.
Yeah.
So I think you want to avoid. Because then I think my bishop, it's the rule of one diagonal, right? My bishop controls this pawn and also stops your F pawn.
Yeah.
So my king will start to come in. And then once my king starts to come in, you will be dead by Zugzwang.
Yeah.
It will be death by Zugzwang. My king will eat your pawns. So this must be avoided. And it's H4,
G4, does it work?
G4. No, but then I still have probably F3 at the right moment. But I have to go here. Oh, do I? Because if I go here, then you are
Yeah,
entitled
then
to
you
come
go
to
king
E4.
E4, yeah.
And then I lose. This one I lose, I think. I'm not sure I lose actually. Do I lose that? Let's see, just for fun. B7?
F3.
Because
F3. Oh.
maybe I go king F1. Now I didn't even do here. Go king G1 like this.
Oh.
I think this is a move by move thing because your bishop only has one move. I believe I have to go to F1 because if I go to G1, I think I'm losing by Zugzwang.
Yeah, and then bishop.
You take with check,
Yeah.
and I lose. So
It's not that easy.
I think I go to F1, and
Ah.
this might draw still. I don't know. Can you go this way actually? The king D3. But maybe it's still king E1. And it's still a draw.
Bishop.
Something like this, and maybe king D1.
Oh.
You're not taking that pawn ever. So should be a draw, no?
Yeah.
You come here, I come back. Come here, then I have to be careful with this
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
I think.
King F1.
Yeah, king F.
King F1 was the way. Yeah, good draw.
Yeah, it's a job, but it's very sharp, I think.
He's more accuracy than expected. Okay, H5 was bullet. Okay, we might be going down this line actually. But maybe it makes no sense to play H4 actually, now I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because what's Black gonna do? If he plays G4, I'll just take and go King G2.
Then
I
like
go
F3.
F3.
Oh,
You go H4, I can take. Then it's a draw, right? I'll just
Yeah.
go King G2, F4. And yes, Karpov tried to win this for 50 moves against Korchnoi, but it's not going to happen, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, this extra H4 is not gonna help for Black. So what to do? We just move the king. Problem solved, we just do this. And he goes King E4. Maybe I go to E3 actually. No, Bishop C5, disaster. No, I push B7. Why not to push
Yeah.
B7? Just push B7. And then I go to E3. And then I go back to F3. And draw.
Yeah.
And then I do this. And then I do whatever I want and draw. Yeah. Should be it. Yeah. I think as long as I don't run to this G4 thing, I should draw. Yeah. Okay. So we think this must be a draw, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh. What? I just saw it's minus 35 for some reason. No, maybe now there's G4. Takes and King E4. Okay, I need to be careful. How this wins?
Wait, you have to take?
It's lost.
No, like maybe like you don't take a G.
King G2. But still King E4, no?
Oh, this. Wait, did we
It's the
see
same
this?
thing we
now?
have to take. No, we saw it with the pawn on H4 or something.
Ah.
We said it was a
Wait,
draw.
what if you go H4 now?
Good question. It should be it.
Then it's the same, like King G1, right?
You said King F1, right? If King G1, I think we said this, right?
Oh yeah, King F1.
So King F1.
Yeah.
Let's see what edges is.
Oh,
Oh,
my.
mate A4, A2. How? How do you break this? How do you break this? I'm trying to figure out how to break this. Because we couldn't break it after this, right? Oh, I know! You only have back and forth. I need to triangulate with my bishop. Here,
And then like
here,
yeah.
here, here.
Ah.
Easy. Easy. The bishop is waiting. If it was a knight, then different story. Yeah.
Yeah.
The knight wouldn't be able to do this. But the bishop, I forgot you can lose a move. 0-1. He ran into bishop c5 check. Exactly what we were talking about. He ran into bishop c5 check. But it was probably lost, yeah. If you can't play g4, then it's probably lost, no? No, it's draw. Really, this is a draw.
What?
b7, and why not g4?
A G4? Like
Ah, maybe we are playing f3.
oh.
This would make sense actually. F3 and then maybe H4. Because if G4 I take and
Yeah,
then
I think white
trousers,
wins.
yeah?
Yeah, I
and
think
white
white
wins
wins.
trousers. So we cannot do this. So that's the way you play F3 check. Oh, this is quite cool actually. And if you play G4 then it's a draw because we take an F3.
Yeah. Okay, it's not that easy.
No, it's not so easy. Not so easy at all. It's possible to mess this up 100%.
Oh, this is kind of sad.
King E3, Bishop C5, finish. No, is it still so easy? Maybe it's very easy.
Yeah, I think.
How easy is this one? King C2?
I mean, just
No,
slowly
but you
walk
can,
the king.
you can
Yeah.
play King E4.
Yeah.
Right? Unfortunately, this is the problem because now we can play G4.
Yeah.
Because now my bishop easily can guard this guy and it'll be zooked, right, at some
Yeah.
point. For those who want to see, it will be something like this. And
Yeah.
it'll be zooked, yeah.
Yeah, the
At
king
some
has to
point.
move and then like King F3.
Yeah, then it'll be zooked and then we pick this guy up and we win.
Wow.
And he'll be zooked again later on, so yeah. Bishop c5 check and finish, unfortunately. No one was saying that it's an easy draw. Then suddenly it's not so
I
easy.
don't
It's
think it's
possible to
the
mess it
easy
up.
draw. No, it's not that easy.
I think the easiest would be just to play h4. I don't know why. H4 seems like it's easy though. Yeah, it's easy draw. And then just like literally do this and then play f4. Maybe she didn't know that this one was a draw.
I mean, it's quite hard. You sack like 3 pawns. Like,
No, but you know that this one is a draw, right?
Yeah,
Like
I
you
know.
know this one is a draw, so you just go for it, right? I think maybe they didn't teach that if you have a G pawn, it's also a draw.
yeah, it's a bit like
Because
a bit different.
obviously we have been taught that if this pawn is gone, then it's always a draw, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. You can have 7 H pawns or something; it's also a draw.
yeah.
But with this pawn, maybe some people don't teach that. Some coaches don't teach that that's a draw. Yeah. But I don't know. I feel it's an important one. Yeah.
Oh.
And you see the engine says it's actually okay. Yeah. But it's actually winning. But as you move on, you realize there's no way to make progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way. Absolutely no way. Your king can come, but there's nothing. Yeah, your king can come any way they want. I literally can pre-move this, and then you can do nothing. Because every time you try to force a zook zwang, it will not work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a draw, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, because you literally cannot force zook zwang. I will always have a square. Yeah. You can't force me to play g3. At least not in a way that will win you the game, as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I can think of to try to force it is to try to do something like this.
No.
Yeah, bring the king to f2 or something.
No,
But the
still,
problem
man.
is that now I can play it with g4. So I'm playing g3. And now, the problem is you cannot play hg because it's stalemate. So the only time I will play g3 is when your king comes over to force me zook as well. And then I'll play g3 and stalemate.
Oh.
So this is the key to this endgame. Because obviously we don't play g3 now because hg, right?
Yeah.
But you know, with a king on f2, it'll be stalemate. That's the key. And if you take with anything else, then obviously we know this one from yeah. Before you start kindergarten, you should know this one. It's not even kindergarten. It's you know, when you come out of the womb, you should know these ideas. So let's move on to the next game. I like these. You know, you can see some interesting positions and interesting mistakes that some of the strong guys wouldn't make. Right. So let's see. Has Haki found f4?
Wait, what?
Whatever. Yeah, of course he found
okay.
f4 and he won a rook.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next game. We don't need to look at this. It's easy. Right. Better. I don't think we jinx it because it's too.
Yeah,
It's
there's
too
like
winning. You can't jinx such a position. It's a rook up
Yeah.
for nothing. You know.
no, but it's like f5 and then you take the bishop.
I don't believe. This I don't believe.
Yeah, but still winning.
This I don't believe. Okay. What's happening in No Ain Shah? So, yep, f3. I'm sure this is I don't know. This feels like one of those Haridas lines. Haridas is coaching her, of course, together with Uzziah. So Haridas Pascua from the Philippines. Yeah. So Queen d3, and yeah. No,
Wow.
she got a nice position though. I don't know what black is doing with this thing. I feel like this is one of those lines that you have to actually be careful as black, yeah, because if you don't know what you're doing, you know, it can be a bit weird, yeah. B4 is interesting. It's not a normal move, but I don't know, this seems to make sense, but at the same time it's quite passive for black also. I think that's the issue for
Yeah.
these lines. Knight goes to c4. I don't know. You would think white should be black should be okay, but at the same time, it's starting to look like white is a very easy play, no? Knight d7. Okay.
Oh, you can't take that.
Because of queen g5, yeah? Is that? No, there's bishop h8, queen c1, king f2.
No,
Why can't you take?
I was thinking, oh,
Rook g8
yeah,
first,
I thought
maybe.
rook g8. Yeah.
So you can't go this because of this, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
So what you do here?
Yeah, like take.
How bad is this?
Oh.
Take. Pawn takes here.
Maybe it's not that bad.
Queen g5.
Yeah.
Knight d2. No, queen e3 check.
Mm.
Maybe it's pretty bad after all.
But you can't really take because the
Maybe I
bishop.
play knight. But then you can take, yeah.
Uh,
You want to take that guy? It's a bit annoying for me, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this.
yeah, knight e2 is
Knight e2 has to be played, but it's not nice. No, bishop g7. You're right. Probably shouldn't take. Yeah. Wow.
Bishop
Okay.
takes c4.
So bishop c4 is apparently the best move. No, it makes sense. You just stop castling.
Ah, yeah.
It's very easy. No,
Okay.
no, it's really easy actually. It's really easy once you see it, but maybe it's not the easiest one to see.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking how to exploit these things, and no, it's really simple. Just stop him from casting. And White is doing very well. Okay. So if White finds this, White will be doing well. If not, Black is doing well, yeah. So it's kind of
Yeah.
one of those positions that turns on a dime, no? No, maybe Black should have just castled. I think it was fine actually, no? Don't know what was wrong with this.
Yeah.
Looks like absolutely normal position. But 97 was a bit much, yeah. To be so.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's one of those moves that gets her suspicious, and I think she's right to think there.
Yeah.
Okay, under 16. See what happened in the rehome game.
Oh. What?
There have been some developments. F4 was played as expected, knight F4 and queen F2.
Okay.
G5 as expected, knight E2.
Oh, 92 immediately. Okay. I think it's the same, right?
And weird move king G7. I don't see better that surely. No, this can't be right. We were saying he should play queen B6, right?
Yeah.
So it was like your idea of playing queen C7, but instead forcing the bishop to C5 first and then going queen C7.
Yeah.
The idea being that we will have B6 to kick this bishop, which is useful, right?
Yeah.
And I think White is doing. I think we thought that White had full compensation, but maybe not much more than that. But king G7 is definitely very bad for Black. Takes, and he's thinking here, and he's right to think, I think, because probably there will be something here. So at the very least, there is this, right?
Yeah.
At the very least, there's this with massive compensation. Obviously, if you take this, it's almost like
Yeah,
three
take on
side, or we
E7.
can even take here.
Yeah.
So this is huge. So he has to play knight G6 first, right? So the sacks don't work. So we probably have to move the queen somewhere. 5 maybe, something.
Maybe it's not that bad.
You're- Yeah, but okay, this looks pretty bad. Or bishop B2 is coming.
Hmm.
And if you don't take, then probably it's pretty bad, huh? Like I might have G5 to force you or something.
Not.
Bishop takes, I have bishop B2 or wins. So yeah, I don't know. I really like White here.
Yeah. Bad.
No, I don't believe this simply. Even if just queen takes F4, yeah, that looks really strong. But maybe there's something better. So I was thinking to play G5, but after bishop G5, H4, bishop F6,
Yeah, I don't think it's
I
that.
can't see the follow-up.
Yeah.
I cannot see a follow-up because queen F4 still runs into knight G6. So I think that's the issue. Can I do H4 though?
Mm.
This makes a lot of sense, no? Try this. It looks very strong. Maybe he has to play H6, yeah, stop it. Because I don't know how to deal with G5 otherwise.
Mm.
So I think he might have to play H6, right? Stop it.
Yeah.
And now what? We can, if we play G5, I think
It's the same.
there
I
will
think.
be F6.
Mm.
So as dodgy as this looks, it might hold because I mean I will be getting knight to G6, so it will I think hold this one. So we shouldn't rush with G5, I think. But then what?
If you take, it's the same like knight
Knight
G6.
G6, and now H4 hangs also.
Yeah.
So I don't like that. Does it make sense to play H5 so that I can take on F like this?
Oh, so there's no knight G6.
So there's no knight G6. Oh,
Mm,
okay.
fair.
Well, anyway, out of the window with the positional ideas, G5 has been played.
G5.
Okay, let's see how this works. Maybe we start with check first. That makes sense. Huh?
What?
We start with check first because now if he blocks, we can take it. If there's F6 now on 1H4.
Yeah, so it's first bishop
It's
H6.
first bishop H6. And then maybe I start to create some threats.
Oh, whoa.
No, I like this. I like what he's done.
Mm.
K1 is coming.
Maybe like rook F8, knight G6.
Rook F8, maybe rook E1.
Knight G6.
Knight G6 H5.
Oh, yeah.
This looks huge. Knight E5, I even have this.
Yeah, no, you can't do
And the
that.
bishop
Yeah.
hangs.
Yeah. Wait, you have to
Wait,
go.
king G8? Is this so clear? No, I'm thinking. Oh no, but I can go back. I can go back. F3 though.
Whoa.
Oh, this is.
Whoa. Whoa.
This is maybe not so simple. Maybe not so
I
simple.
mean, you don't have to take the rook, right? Oh,
Maybe I don't have to take the rook, right? Maybe I have other moves. Queen h4, maybe. But then bishop g5 there.
take the bishop. Just
Where?
like bishop takes,
Bishop takes fe5.
rook takes.
Takes,
Yeah.
I
Oh wait,
don't know.
black's the upper pawn.
Yeah, black's up a pawn, but okay, there's some
Yeah, I think
conversation that,
something maybe.
let's say I do like rook f6, this is so easy.
I think I have to go rook
Check,
e7.
and then I go back. I'm not sure whether this is any good, but
Maybe like
simple like
queen d5.
queen d4.
It's queen d4,
Maybe.
sorry.
Okay, maybe not. Maybe I just go rook f7 or something, but maybe you still go queen d4 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I agree. There's a big attack here. So then I really like this g5, no?
Yeah.
If this the point is to play bishop fb2, and it's very strong actually.
Oh, never.
And what do we know?
Oh, but
Computer likes g5, but
it's
not as much as we do.
it's the only move.
d4 is forced, apparently.
Oh.
f6 is really bad. But this looks also, wow, this is also simple. Yeah, it's hard to take these guys back. There's some really nice points here. f5 here, for instance. Good luck find. I have a feeling black will not see any of this here. Just play f6 and lose.
Yeah.
That's my feeling because black hasn't been seeing anything this game.
Yeah.
Black
But
has been seeing nothing this game, to be fair.
but g5 was the only move this round.
Yeah, g5 is the only way. Wow,
Wow, that was
that's interesting.
yeah.
Why wasn't h4 that good? Because of knight g6 apparently. h6 is also working. h5 and probably just holes, just about holes. So this was not quite as good. g5 was better. Wow.
Wow.
Bishop d5, bishop b2, and h4 indeed. which is
h4
much
bishop
better.
e6.
Queen e2. Wow.
What?
Just to get queen g4 check.
Oh,
This is actually really nice. Yeah. It's actually really nice.
this is killing.
Yeah, that's still killing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see whether whether black manages to work these things out. He's got more time, but he's got more things to work out also. So that will be, I think, black's task to try to hold
Oh.
this. What's happened here? So that we loved black's position earlier, right? So we like the move bishop f6, g3,
Oh, g5.
g5. It's a move that will be a bit apprehensive to play because I'm a bit worried there'll be some g4 ideas or e4 in the future. Yeah, knight d2 takes and bishop d3, h3. Yeah, and then g4 does come. Yeah.
Mm.
Wow, g4 just like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it works.
Wow, because b5 is in trouble here, I guess. So how is this tile endgame, by the way?
Check.
Probably check, takes and takes.
Yeah,
I don't know who is better.
I think white is slightly, but it should be a draw.
It's a race, no? It's very, very sharp. I don't know.
But the king is closer. Like the white king is closer to the black.
It's true, but it also means that it'll be checks when the black pawn comes to g3. So the
Mm.
pros and cons to it.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know. It's probably some weird some sort of draw because both sides will queen at the same time, and it'll be some sort of nonsense.
Maybe you just stay in
Triple zeros,
like bishop c6, just stay on the diagonal,
maybe. Yeah.
and then just push the
Maybe.
b pawn.
Okay. But anyway, it's not really willing to try for black. Yeah.
Yeah.
So black plays f4.
Okay, this.
I mean, black is pretty safe, but
Yeah, but it's a draw.
so white will not be punished for his
Bishop.
playing for draw. He will not
Yeah.
be punished for it, which
Yeah.
is it's not nice. If you play for draw, you should be punished. That's how chess is. But okay, fair enough. What on earth has happened? How did he?
Oh, what?
So
Queen
queen d7 was
E7.
played.
Okay.
We left it here, right? Knight f4. Bishop e5. Knight
G6.
f4.
Knight 4.
We left it here, right? Knight d3. Knight h5. Ooh.
Oh.
Knight e5. Knight f6. Ooh. And we got the position with
Oh, this. Okay. Very
with the
interesting.
2 pieces, 3 pieces, and it looks really good. That black, white will get that pawn, so it's still quite unclear.
Ooh.
I don't know though. I have to say I like the pieces.
Yeah,
Because I feel if white had not attacked anymore, then the pieces actually become very strong, right? They're targeting a lot of these queenside pawns.
yeah,
If something falls here, then the deep pawn is just push through.
yeah.
I think that's the problem. So I think white was clearly playing for a win, but I think he went a bit too far. Bishop g7, there's nothing.
Yeah,
Absolutely nothing. Actually, there's nothing wrong with king g8 either, yeah?
yeah,
There's nothing wrong with either move. It goes bishop g7, of course, and then
yeah. I
knight
think,
c4 comes, yeah?
yeah, black is better for sure.
Black is clearly better.
Yeah,
Clearly better. No question. Okay. Minus 1.5? Give a guess?
yeah. Two. Oh,
Nope, we are wrong. It's
Mm.
apparently okay. Queen d2, knight c4, runs into queen b4. Something? What? No. It's actually okay. Wow. So we're not evaluating this correctly. Yeah. I feel also these type of positions are kind of hard to evaluate.
yeah.
And even though I think I would take black any day, apparently this is supposed to be fine for white. Something like this.
Mm.
Something like this, and somehow it's okay for white, yeah.
Wow.
But I still feel that we will have very easy play for black, so I will still take black even here. Yeah, even though the computer says it's fine. Okay, let's see what happened with the Austrian Chia game. We thought that black messed up a little bit, right? Here.
Yeah.
We thought that we loved black's position here, and that he just play like bishop d5 and he's just slightly better. And then he plays d5, bishop g5, b4, which is the move we expected,
Yeah.
bishop e7.
Oh.
Very aggressive. Very aggressive. Okay. So obviously moving rook is out of the question.
Yeah.
He plays b3, which seems to make a lot of sense, but then he couldn't follow up this move.
Well. Mm.
It's weird now because we have a lot of discoveries, but do they work? Let's say knight d2, there is queen b4, I guess. Can you give a check on f3, but it doesn't lead anywhere. We have two pieces. Maybe you should try something like this, I don't know.
Oh.
But it's hard to believe this one. It's a
Nah.
lot of stuff.
No,
No, he should have tried it. No, he should have tried it.
Okay.
Maybe this was the line he had to go for, yeah? Because rook e8 didn't feel right. Yeah, and now already what?
Oh.
No, actually maybe it's fine when it's done. Queen b4 was strong, which is the move we wanted to play. But 92 is really okay, yeah. Because the idea is that there's going to be knight f3 and something like this. And it's going to be a lot of counterplay. So maybe I should leave it in after all. Queen bishop b4 and bishop h3 like this. Wow. So unclear what's going on. So unclear. Queen g5 though was probably not the best, yeah. f4. Maybe it was his plan to provoke f4, but was it a good plan? That's the thing. What's his follow-up? What's he trying to do with this? I'm struggling to find out what he wants that to do, because if he did this, then there's this.
Yeah, rook f3 and then I think
and
win the
then there's
bishop.
this,
Oh.
but then takes, and let's say knight f1. Because rook f1, maybe queen e3 check.
Yeah.
Still, this one looks quite nice, I agree. No, d3 will hang, so maybe just knight f1 is the easiest way. Bishop moves though, and maybe this must be his idea, surely. Queen g3 like this.
Yeah, I don't think.
Do we have a better move than rook f3? That's the question. That's the big question. Does it make sense to do something like this?
Take.
I don't think you have an intermediate move here, so
No.
you have to take rook c4. Maybe something like this?
No, but I think black has some
Ah, there's the bishop d4
Yeah.
idea. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
There's even like rook
So
x.
I would have liked this, but I'm a bit worried that there is something like this.
Yeah. Wait. The bishop hangs. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true. So maybe we don't have that. Bishop must go back. And then maybe now I'm in time to...
Wait, can you take on b4? Then you take.
Oh, that's a good point actually, because rook hangs for free.
Yeah, and the rook has to move, then you take with check and then
Yeah.
back.
That's a very good point. So maybe this is fine for black, yeah, because of this rook b4 idea. Yeah, it is fine for black because of the rook b4 idea. It's a good, very nice find. So maybe this is okay, yeah. Oh, I see
Yeah,
that
rook f3. Yeah.
the eval is going crazy. So rook f3 and rook e1 checked, played. takes, and so this will happen in a game. Yeah, rook f3, check. No, he hasn't played rook f3. He's played queen g3. So rook f3, queen check. Has to take, right? Queen e1. Now what's the move? It's hard, no?
Yeah.
Rook f1, queen e3 check.
Mm.
King h1. But this can't be too bad, right? The bishop just goes back. It looks like plenty of play, no? f5, bishop d5, so
Hmm.
I don't feel this is convincing, right? Then what can it be? Knight f1 is the only other choice. Then bishop g4. Maybe something here.
Yeah, it's not very
But
clear.
what? But
Yeah.
what? Maybe just rook f2? But I'm not sure what the big idea is. Why would it be such a big eval? No, it's
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
of
no,
course.
no.
No, that was the move. I'm cheating. I can't find the.
Oh, you
No,
don't
we don't
take.
take. What?
Ah,
Oh, knight f1
knife, knife.
straight.
Fair.
Oh, okay, this is easy.
Yeah,
If you
this is
if
easy.
you don't take it,
Yeah,
if you don't grab the rook instantly, it's easy.
yeah,
So it's about, I think, going through the line very slowly. Then you might be able to find this, knight f1. You don't have to take. Yeah.
yeah.
It's almost in a sense an invisible move, right? Because it's when you think about rook e1, you're like, oh, my rook is hanging, so I must take.
Yeah.
But
But his
if
queen
you,
is hanging.
yeah, if you want to slow down, you realize, yeah, you're right. His queen is hanging,
Yeah.
so we don't have to rush with that. We can play knight f1. Yeah. By the way, I think this might be another important point
Ah, wait.
because, as I understand, this doesn't look so clear to me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's two rooks, and we're damage structure. But I think you have rook e1, and we crush him. Yes,
Wow.
that's the point.
Yeah.
There's another important point. Yeah, that's actually the best line, by the way, but it's apparently this is the best line. Bishop g2, and now this bishop e4, which is a very important move, and we take this bishop, and that's it. Okay. So on this note, I think maybe we'll take a short break, and we'll be back in about maybe 10 minutes or so. And yeah, I'll see you then. All right.
Yeah.
Hello guys, we are back. So we have a special request from our Malaysia's first international master, Jimmy Liu. He wants me to show his game, which I would love to do if I can find it. Now, I'm not sure whether the game was broadcast, but assuming that he is asking me to look at it, it should be. So I'll try to look at it. If he asks me to look at it, it must be pretty good. So let's see. Please have it work. I can't find it. No, I can't find his game. Uh, Jimmy. Oh, got it. Against Osric. Yes, this guy. This guy is pretty good. Yeah, I've been having lunch and dinner with this guy for the last few days. He's a pretty decent chess player. So we'll see. Jimmy, he played his usual Trompovsky favorite line. Yeah. What else? And knight d2. Yeah, this is, I think, his pet line. He doesn't really take on f6 in these lines. He'll play e4, h3, and c3, queen a5, and bishop d3. Yeah, very, very standard idea. Hits the center with e5, and now castles, e d4, and now knight c4. Makes sense. Hits queen first before he takes on d4. And I really like White's position already. A very nice center, very nice pieces, opportunities to jump into f5, for instance. I guess Black didn't like something like this, which would look very strong. So he played knight e5, but I think this was disastrous because he ran into bishop b5 check. And now, now Black has to make a decision, I guess. So he could play bishop d7. This looks like a very logical move. But I guess he didn't like something like this or something. Yeah, which, I mean, at first glance looks okay, but it's kind of unpleasant also, yeah, because g7 is hanging, and we have very simple ideas like coming into c7, for instance, if Black allows us to. So I think he didn't want to allow this, but knight d7 was just awful because White takes on e7 and knight f5. This is very simple logical chess from Jimmy, and yeah, very effective as you can see. Knight d6 check, king f8. It's completely lost in any case, I guess, because king e7. Actually, king e7. How do we win here? Knight c8, queen c8. Hmm. Is there a better move? I'm not sure. King e7. Let's see. So we have an option to take on f7, but I'm not sure whether that's any good. I think knight c8 looks like a logical move. Rook c1, something like queen d8, and maybe there is a winning move here. Perhaps it's just simple, just queen d5 followed by rook d1, and if the knight moves, then we can take this pawn. Yeah, like if he plays knight f6, we can play queen e5, and this should be absolutely crushing. Yes, indeed, it's +5. Yeah, so simple chess, very simple chess. It's +5, but king f8 was played, which makes things even easier because knight takes c8 now, and yeah, if you play rook takes c8 or queen takes c8, we can take the knight. So Black takes on b5, and that runs into queen d6 check. Oof! And Black resigned, which if I was Black, I think I would have been a good spot and played king g8. But this is the idea. Queen f8, very nice. And after knight f8 or rook f8, there's knight e7 mate. Yeah, would have been nice to allow mate, but I can understand Black didn't want to do that. And in any case, let White win what was a miniature, yeah, 19 move win. Queen d6 check and Black resign. 19 moves, so a crushing win by Jimmy Liu. Jimmy Liu hasn't been having the best tournament, but he's always very strong. He's one of those players who doesn't always have a good day, but when he plays well, he really does play inspired chess. So it's good to see him having a good game today, and hopefully he can carry on this form into his afternoon game. It'd be really nice to see him win 2 games and go up in the standings, maybe even fight for a podium. We'll see. So what else? Let's go on to the what White's 2 pieces up, if I count correctly. How did that happen? I don't know, probably knight e2 wasn't played, but Black yeah, Black had some compensation for the piece. Somehow White managed to win a piece in this game. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, basically we were saying that this is not a really good line for black. Yeah, d5, c5, and b6. Okay, c5 is possible. b6 and f3. Yeah, I'm not super sure about this line, but queen a5 check and queen b4 is played. Queen c7. Apparently this is steel theory, by the way. It is probably some old line that, that's quite interesting, but I don't know. I feel like there was no need to go for this. But black did, and eventually I think white's sort of running out of compensation. Yeah, I think black has. Black is running a bit out of compensation, and I think white's piece is probably gonna start to tell. Yeah, I don't know whether knight e2 was played, but if it was, then obviously it's over. Yeah. So okay, we'll see. I think white probably will take this one home, but it won't be easy to be a fight, especially with these black pieces so active. It's gonna be kind of hard to convert. So we'll see. If knight e2 wasn't played, I think black has fair chances here, to be honest. Yeah, but okay, we'll see. It might be a broadcast error, but usually on DGT VODs there's no big broadcast errors, so I don't really know what happened. Okay, there's not really any dramatic moments on any of the other games. Nothing really worth looking at. By the way, we had the Coven game, which we're gonna have a quick look at before we call it a day. But it was not very nice for Coven. Basically, if you remember, we left it here where Black had a nice, banko, but Coven blundered. I mean, White had a nice version of a banko, and then Coven blundered with Rook b8 and Lord Bishop c5. Maybe he missed that there was this. Anyway, knight d7 was played, and Coven got a very unpleasant position, and queen c2 was indeed played, as we expected. Rook a1 and b5, but white simply hits with c5, brings the rook to a7. He doesn't even take on b5, which I think might have been even better than taking on b5, because this navy, it should be winning, of course, but it's not so simple. Rook a7 was played, and very clean e4 and just knight g5. Just really, really clean play, yeah, by the newest international master from the Philippines. Knight e5, knight a5, and now Arca wins a piece. And knight d6. Ooh, what a move! Yeah, it seems like black was, getting some counterplay, but what a move! Knight d6, queen g5, and f4, and black loses that piece back, but he loses everything because the rook is hanging. By the way, I don't think he could have taken here either because of knight f7, and there's gonna be a nasty discovery, and obviously this would be checkmate, so it'd be even worse. So queen g5 was played by f4, and yeah, unfortunately for Coven, he's gonna lose everything, and he's valiantly fighting with a rook down, but it's not gonna be anywhere close to enough, and after e7 he had to resign. So not a good game from Coven, but I'm sure he'll be looking to bounce back in the next rounds. And in any case, I think a pretty good tournament from him. It's been gaining a lot of rating. He's very close to 2200, so I think it would be really nice if he could get 2200 in this tournament. But if not, I think he'll get it maybe in the next few events. So, in any case, it wouldn't be a big deal for him to get it now, but it would be nice to get it, certainly. Okay, so yeah, I think with that in mind, I think we will call it a day today. So thank you all very much for joining the stream, and yeah, I will be back streaming again at about 3:45 p.m. after the round starts. So yeah, I hope to see you back then. Okay, thank you very much, and see you this afternoon. Bye bye.